All right, so Saab will probably be joining us in a little bit. Now, obviously, with Saab as a co-host, we've got Esfand, who plays Sheriff Cornwood on NoPixel, and then Lieutenant Custard, who plays McNulty. Yeah, McNaughty in Mickey's phone. By the way, that was I don't know if S-Fan knows this story. That was still one of my I think one of favorite things from 4.0. I had my character, I had Mickey go on a date with McNulty. It was before the stealing the PD gun meta. That was the original plan to get a PD gun. Was we get robbed on a date
to sleep with him and then steal it?
Yes.
Honey dick him.
No, that was the original plan. Was Mickey sleep because we're trying to do it in roleplay. It's like, yeah, I'll just sleep with him and then just sneak off with his gun afterwards. But then we tried to do it by going on a date and then having us get robbed.
Yeah.
Because I had some hoppers come in and they were like, "Why didn't you have your gun on you?" And I was like,
"Oh my god!"
I was like, "Why the fuck would I have my gun on me off duty walking around? Let me bring a loaded 9mm on a date." I don't know. I'm not American. That's not usually my go-to.
And the thing is, I had the same hoppers he's not gonna bring his gun. Don't you know the SOPs? I'm like, guys, my character doesn't know the SOPs.
Yeah, why would dude? I swear, dude. So when people say things, it's like, why would this character know that?
This is a good lesson for viewers. It's also I think a lot of the times we're putting ourselves in situations to create and the way I often think about RP is it's creating funny scenes, something out of a show or a movie.
Yeah.
It's the idea that a cop and Mickey are on a date so that some other guys can go rob them to try to get the gun. I just think that's funny, right? I don't care. Getting the gun is the least important part of that. It's the setup of all that is the content behind it. So
yeah, hold on. Am I extremely loud? I've turned myself down a little bit.
Am I extremely quiet?
Oh, I was not monitoring audio at all because I'm a bad podcast host. Talk again. Actually, let's do mic check real quick.
Hello. I'm talking.
Oh,
yeah, no, that's great. Both good. Both good.
My shit was cranked to fucking max because in my fucking chat they're like, "You're too fucking quiet," and I'm a loud motherfucker.
So, I mean, again, we try to keep this podcast mostly drama free. However, there is this is a spicy. It's not drama, but it's kind of a spicy thing. I think it's been known for a while with roleplay, not just in NoPixel, but I think in other servers. I want you guys' takes on it. Why do you guys think cop role players get so much hate? Because I do think it is a bigger amount than is normal for what happens.
Do you mean OOC hate?
You're talking about from viewers, right?
Yeah, from viewers.
We're the bad guys. We are the police, but we are the you stop my streamer from getting the W. You in the real world, okay, yeah, with good cops put away criminals that do bad things, but in roleplay, it's what the fuck? You stopped my streamer from catching his W. You're the bad guy. We'll always be perceived as you're the fun police, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid, but that's the way that people see it. I think there's a number of reasons for that. Okay. Yeah, I think there's a number of reasons for that. One is like Custard was saying, it's you're the fun police, but also I think that being a crim is more relatable to those viewers in terms of oh, you're a civilian, you're doing civilian jobs, whatever, but being a cop is not as relatable to them maybe. And then they self-insert into the streamer's shoes or the character shoes that the streamer is playing just from watching, and then they end up being angry about it. But there's a reason why they're watching and not RPing. You know what I mean? Because they can't do that.
I also that makes sense because I also notice a lot of the times when I'm dealing with let's say I have 200 300 hoppers jump in, they don't know why the fuck I'm making the choices that I'm doing as McNulty. Half the time I'd explain, I'm like, oh, we have guidelines and SOPs and fucking whatever charges that work this way, and most of the time they'll be like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. Half the time if you explain to them like they're children, they'll get it, but they still come over and say, why the fuck did you do this? You're a piece of shit. W cop, and I'm like, okay, buddy.
Here's the thing that's crazy.
You guys have the deck stacked against you. I genuinely think.
Here's the thing that's crazy. I just want to add to that. The whole okay, well, this cop is going for wins. Well, brother, what do you think? What are you doing here? You're upset about losing. For you, not even you losing. You're upset about your streamer losing. You know what I mean? It's just insane whenever people talk about that shit that way.
I also, sorry, go ahead.
But no, I was just gonna say, like, it's just something that it goes back to what I was saying about like chatters like self-inserting into a character that they're not even playing. So
Yeah, I mean, I have this this is like a very broadly used thing that you can kind of do, which is like it's like the Wicked effect, which is like when a criminal does some like crazy shit in their car that like is extremely dangerous, potentially NVL, but like oftentimes it's like, yo, that was wicked. Like that jump, that pit, whatever it was, like, damn, that was wicked. Whereas like cops do it and it's just spam question marks in their chat.
Yeah.
There's kind of like, and there's kind of like this, and again, obviously there's like the standard of, and it's not 1-to-1 as part of the, you know, game design to be, it's like asymmetrical, right? I think here's another thought I had, which is while you were talking, Esfand. It's also, I think it's relatable because so many people have played Grand Theft Auto, whether there's the story mode even, right? Even if they don't RP, the like criminal aspect of GTA is way more relatable, number one. And then also, and Custard, you're Canadian, right? Irish.
No,
sorry, you're Irish in Canada.
I moved to Canada about
sorry,
4 or 5 years.
I'm trying to do my research, guys.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, no, I have hoppers come over and they're like, oh, so how's Canada? I'm like, it's good. I'm not Canadian. I moved here 5 years ago. I'm nearly 30 now. I
don't know how the cops are in Ireland or Canada, but I also low-key think that another reason that cop streamers get kind of haze, there is like a broader like, not that we bring this into RP, because I think actually a good thing about roleplay is we don't include this kind of aspect of American life in the roleplay. Like there's a much bigger sort of commentary in the US about, sorry, I'm not trying to make this Fear and podcast and be Hassan and relate it back to politics, but like, you know what I mean? There's like a broader like political turmoil in the United States as it relates to like the police force. And I actually think that might cause some viewers to like just hate the cop role players more. I don't know. Like maybe I'm reaching there with that one, but
maybe subconsciously for some people.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's obviously some people that like, it goes back to the self-insert, right? Yeah, it goes back to the self-insert thing, right, from chatters. I don't know. I think like I think that it's not all bad. Like some people make it out to be like worse than it is. But man, just sometimes just people it's always like an attempt to gotcha. And they're always trying to throw
waiting for you to slip the fuck up so they can point out whatever little mistake you made. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not even like, oh, you made a mistake as far as like an investigation goes or that. It's like, no, you made a mistake as an RPer and you should be banned off the server and you're a terrible RPer. And most of the time it isn't even true. It's like, oh, he metagamed. This guy metagamed. It's like, bro, look, I open up the MDT. If I go to reports, we have 2,212 reports in the system. Incidents, we have 2,709. There is literally like tons of data on everything that's happened in the city so far. And it's not even close to having everything logged, right? But there's so much data and there's so many cases being built over time. So it's like, oh, how did you know that they did that? How do you know that they did this? Why did you think that they'd be over there? Because you're an investigator, right? So whenever people do the same thing over and over again, that's just kind of what happens. And to be really honest, I think there's a lot of people that play Crim that do it kind of lazily, and then they get caught, and then people get upset about it. Now, there's two parts to that, because I also think that some people play Crim and they're not doing it in a lazy way on purpose, but they do it in a way to which it gives them an opportunity to get caught, because honestly, it makes it more exciting. If there's no chance that you'll get caught, then it's not exciting. If the cops catch everybody all the time, then that's not exciting either. So there has to be like a good balance as far as making the content as good as possible, because without risk, there's no investment.
Yeah, like I've role-played a criminal a lot more than a cop in 3.0. There was nothing fucking worse than when you do like a string of crimes and no cops would show up.
It's the worst.
It's boring. It's so fucking boring. It's like, I want that chase. I want that fucking adrenaline running through my veins. as there's Air One above, 5 cops on my trail. I've got a bunch of fucking meth in the trunk. I live for that shit. That shit. And even as a cop, when you are like on their ass and you're like, I've fucking got you, buddy. I've been chasing you down for days. I know who's driving this fucking car. I want your ass in the cells and I'm going to laugh when I get you. Those moments in RP is so, like, you live for that shit. You live for the investigation.
Yeah.
You live for the chase. That is so much fucking fun. So when people complain when cops don't show up, and people complain when cops show up, it's like there's no win-win. But I mean, I've been doing it long enough where like I don't really give a shit a lot anymore. I just enjoy it.
Well, we had a thing yesterday where there was Chody had he was driving Mr. K, and there was a scuff that happened where they crashed and they were on their side, and then we're yelling at them to get out of the car, whatever, and then Mr. K gets tased to get out of the car, but there's like a scuff that happens, and he ended up like standing up in the car, whatever, and he was starting to run away. I don't know what happened on his screen, but he had teleported on my screen. He was in front of me. I was here, and they teleported behind me, right? And chat's like, why did you not shoot him? Shoot him. And I'm like, bro, what is wrong with you guys? It's literally like sometimes shit happens. It's just an honest scuff. Like, it's not like there's things that happen. You just kind of have to roll with it, right?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
And you don't want to just go end it right away. Now, I do think there are times where like you should shoot people, right?
All the time.
But it's not like in character. Like I'm like, oh, hey, just shoot them. Hey, just shoot them. You know, okay, send their ass damn to hell, right? But like from like OOC perspective, like you can't just shoot because it'll just end it every single, right? I think like my personal like kind of rule of thumb for like, okay, we need to shoot somebody is if we don't shoot them, they are gonna cause more problems for civilians and get other people hurt. That's kind of like my personal sort of frame of reference. Like if they're running people over and stuff like that, then it's like, okay, like you gotta, or like we had this situation with the Mosley situation the other day, a couple weeks ago with Dundee.
Oh yeah. There was like a whole like fight scuffle going on there, right?
Right.
With the tanker.
Huh?
With the tanker, with the blown up tanker?
Yeah.
Oh no,
'Cause
okay,
you
so that was a different one than I knew of. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, so that was like I thought you meant like a fight between Mosley's and Popular. But yeah, no, that was the thing where McNulty was scene lead and he called for us to shoot because he was like, we gotta shoot so that he doesn't run that thing into there and get like 20 people killed and blow up like hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good call. Like, yeah.
It's pretty black and white when it comes to a moment like that. It's Esfand has that kind of point, and I don't think a lot of people see that as well. Is because the second you like batons, tasing, tackling, going for cuffs, shit like that is like it's not really a huge escalation. The second you shoot, roleplay ends. Then all it is a third-person shooter. Roleplay no longer happens in a moment like that.
Yeah.
Then it's just a video game. So the second, it's always the last thing I ever want to fucking do. Even as a cop and as a criminal, shooting is the last thing I ever want to fucking do because it's boring. Shooting is, it's fun fucking content. It's just like, but at that point, it's just a ranked game of who shoots each other more first.
And possibly the worst shooting experience.
Yeah, it's in a terrible shooter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. This is definitely not like an FPS game. But well, another thing too is like if we follow, there's a lot of times where like, to that point, we'll follow our SOPs and we follow our guidelines of we have to do this, we have to do that. And you know, again, viewers will be like, "Why didn't you do this?" I mean, it's like, yes, crims can do basically whatever they want, and that's just how it is. And then cops have to follow a certain procedure, and then people are like, "Oh, the cops all suck. Oh, the cops are stupid. Oh, the cops don't know how to do this," right? Or like, "Oh, cops are all bad drivers. There's no good cop drivers." And I'm like, dude, Custard is a damn good driver. Right, you got a Rem Dog. You got a whole bunch of really good drivers.
Rem Dog's a really good driver, dude. As far as
Right.
Zombie, that's scary.
Right, but our cars are just like straight up worse than a lot of the best cars that the Civs have, Crims have. Bones, yeah, I mean just it's a bunch of people, yeah.
Well, no, Bones is dog shit. Don't give Kazi any kind of. Don't give him any kind of.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Casey is great.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
so,
I have a few reactions to this and some follow-up questions. I think for me, the biggest thing is that like, I get a lot of, I actually do understand a lot of criticism that comes towards the cop. I said, Jesus, that was a
Nice.
not the cop role players, because at the end of the day, you guys are kind of like pseudo dungeon masters, right? In a way, kind of.
yeah,
Like,
no, you're right.
and you guys do genuinely have more like absolute kind of power and responsibility. I just think it's like you guys are given like a little bit of extra power, like a small degree of extra power, responsibility, but infinite, like so much more
Resources.
attention. Well, no, resource, just like attention and scrutiny when it comes to your role play. For instance, like this is something that like I think people need to like genuinely consider, which is like, okay, cops shooting and people get upset about that ends a role play. Like, why do we not criticize the role play of criminals just randomly shooting people and them just escalating with guns all the time, right? And I'll tell you something. Well, your argument's like, well, they're not cops. They don't have SOPs. They're criminals. They can't shoot. It's like, yeah, but like sometimes criminals just way over rely on guns, and we get in these situations where it's like someone like, I don't know, chirps at your character and you're like, well, my character is a gangster, therefore I should pull a gun on them. And it's like, okay, well now you're just, if you guys, I always go back to this. Have you guys ever seen the, the Michael, the Office scene where it's like Michael Scott and them doing improv comedy?
Yeah, boom.
And he just pulls a gun, and he just pulls a gun out every time. Like, okay, so then why is it?
That's the most exciting thing that could happen.
Yeah, it's pull a gun out. So like, yeah, I don't know if it's kind of wild to me that like, yeah, and again, I'm obviously it's different standards, but I am shocked at the degree of criticism that comes against cops. And I guess my thing is like, I just wish people would maybe be more like consistent with their criticism. Even the same when it comes to like chases and like the sort of what is NVL versus, various pits and stuff. And then my second thing that I really wish people would do is I just wish people would chill and relax a little more and be like, hey, you know what? Shit happens.
Yeah, sometimes like it just is what it is, right? Like exactly with the situation with Kevin, like I said yesterday. Like it's
I think SSaab is here. He put a message in the Discord, by the way, Blau.
Oh. Well, all right. You guys keep talking. I'll handle SSaab.
Okay.
Go ahead. I was gonna say this when it's like, if a criminal pulls a gun on a cop and says, "Put your fucking hands up," we put our hands up. If a cop pulls a gun as like yo, stop running, put your fucking hands up, yo, those motherfuckers keep running.
Yeah.
And it's because they know we can't shoot.
Yeah, that actually does happen. All the time. It's like, bro, really? But here's the thing. Hey, here's the thing. Hey, hands up! I'm gonna rob you. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna let you rob me now. Like, it's like, you know what I mean?
Someone in my chat said because cops wouldn't shoot IRL either.
Hey.
Oh, buddy.
Listen,
that's
if you
where
do
it gets
enough
really
bad things, you get shot.
Dude, I'm being honest with you. They really suspend disbelief in the amount. Like, if you guys think NoPixel cops are violent, like, let me tell you something, buddy. They are the most patient motherfucker. Like, you should see it. Actual American police. No, I mean,
it's like Esfand said when it's like this, like there's choices we make where it's like I can Tennessee v. Garner this motherfucker all I fucking want. I can articulate the shit out of this. But if I shoot him, it's fucking over.
Yeah. Like you give him you got to give him a decent amount of time to let the RP play out a little more. But and then
if we shot as often as we were allowed to, like I could end, I think I could articulate almost every single pursuit I'm in and shoot the driver no problem.
Are you guys allowed to shoot? Are you guys allowed to shoot tires on swaps?
No.
Oh.
With SOPs, you shoot you light that fucking car up.
Yeah.
You don't even shoot tires?
No, you like
it's,
you.
it's like kind of
Because you are shooting a bullet. Like
Yeah.
you like disabling the car. No, you are shooting at a car. You are accepting that this pursuit has escalated to a point where there is like gross disregard for human life. The person driving this car does not care what happens to those around them, so you end it. But articulating up to that point, we have SOPs where it's like, okay, have we made a good faith attempt at pitting? Have we made a good faith attempt at spiking this vehicle? What kind of areas have they been driving in? How long has the pursuit been going on? What kind of vehicle is it? What kind of speeds? Like, is it a semi-truck driving through Senior Buns at 95 miles per hour, wiping out crowds? It's like, okay, shoot him in the fucking head. Is it like a little Glendale going 40 miles per hour in low areas, but still evading? You know, you gotta juggle shit.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that's kind of a bad example, because if a truck is going through Senior Buns at 90 miles an hour, I would look the other way.
You watch. You applaud that. You give that motherfucker a badge.
Yeah, I mean, there is this like this actually. Me and Sab talked about this on the, I guess, first one that he and I were co-hosting together. We talked about, like, we were answering questions for chat, and we were answering like, what is NVL, like not valuing life. And I actually think one of the like weirdest dynamics that cops have to deal with is the concept of valuing life, both their own, they have to weirdly value kind of the life of a criminal and then judge that against the life of potentially people around them. And there's this weird thing where it's like, everyone knows, you control the fate of your character dying. So no one can force you to perma. So you're in this weird state where it's like, where cops have to treat it like it is someone is going to die, and the criminals are allowed to kind of there's this weird thing where it's like basically criminals are allowed to NVL against cops.
It's that's why I think that I hate the NVL rule, actually, because not that there is a rule that exists for certain scenarios that you have to act in a certain way for the sake of roleplay, but I hate that the name of the rule is not valuing your life, because it's not really what the rule is, like it's there's like a specific rule of like, so like if somebody's holding a knife up to you, right, it's like, okay, well, you can't move because realistically, if you like, they'll just stab you and it'll end the RP, right? Well, it doesn't really end the RP, it just changes how it goes to something that's less I guess less drawn out. So I think like saying something not valuing your life. We're driving through the city at 100 miles an hour. I'm sorry, I would never do that because I'm gonna get myself killed, But in game, it is what it is. So I think calling it NVL is kind of dumb. I wish it was just called something else, because people that are new to RP don't understand what NVL is, because they look at the name literally. They don't understand what power gaming is because they look at the name literally. They don't understand what meta is, because meta in RP is different than like understanding the meta of a video game, right? So these phrases are confusing to people that are new RP viewers, and then what happens is you end up having a bunch of people in chat that are just like counter confusing each other, and then it ends up getting irritating because somebody's like, oh look, he's power gaming. It's like, no, he's good at driving. No, he's just good at what he's doing. That's not power gaming. Power gaming would be like basically exploiting. Right, that's what power gaming is. It's like using an exploit or doing something that you can't do in that situation, because it's like you're like doing an emote through a wall or something, right?
Yeah, and again,
it's a buzzword contest, exactly.
It also really depends on like, oh, Sab, hello.
Well, you fixed the cameras. I'm getting some coffee.
Okay.
Howdy. Hello.
Howdy.
Good morning.
What's up, dude?
What's up, Sab? Thanks for joining so late that now I have to fix all the cameras.
I am so sorry.
No, you're all good. You're all good. Don't worry. No, I mean, like, on that note, I'd say I also just think, especially when it comes to cop to crim interactions, is people just typically only get like one side of it, right? I think it was Custer's maybe saying this earlier. It's like what you see. Or no, it was US I was talking about, where the situation with Kay, where it's like people saw a very different thing happen on Kay's screen than on yours, right? And that's going to very much like change how they, perceive what someone's actions were, right?
Right. They see it from one POV and they don't understand like this is a 10-year-old video game and it's GTA 5 is one of the best games ever. It is. But it is one of the most awful PC ports of a video game ever. And it's been modded to hell, right? It's super janky because you're modding stuff, you're throwing a bunch of different things in there. Like none of this stuff is in Grand Theft Auto. It's just not, right? Like it's a mod that we're playing of a terrible PC port. So there's just going to be desync. There's going to be scuff. It's not supported officially on like some big time servers, right? Like owned by Rockstar, you know.
Well,
So
a little bit more now. So
well,
you know,
yeah, a little bit more. Wait, did that?
Rockstar owns 5M.
I know they own 5M, but have they? Did I lose you?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm lagging a little. Hello. Oh,
I'm chilling.
I think it's
There
on
you
my
go.
end.
You're good
Hello.
now.
Hello.
Hello.
Small F
Oh,
for
it was-
sure, yeah.
It was small F. So, okay. Yeah. No. So, I mean, Rockstar owns 5M, right? So, I mean, hopefully some
yeah,
of
but
this.
have they? I thought there were. I have no idea. Maybe somebody can correct me. I was under the impression that like as far as like supporting like servers and stuff, I thought all that was not on Rockstar's end yet, but it probably would be in GTA 6.
I don't know. I mean, I would hope so, but
I have no clue.
Yeah, I have no idea. I
Well,
just
time will
assumed.
tell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just assumed,
but
but I didn't think that would happen now.
you know what's funny? Like here's an interesting thing, right? Like, here's Sab, I'm gonna turn you down real quick because a lot of chatters will they always do this too, is they love to, you know, and maybe it's sometimes talking about the specific instances can help us. I'm sorry about this, but I want to like call this one because people are like, what about? I got these random people in my chat like, yo, like you gotta go now. I can finally get through to Cornwood. I can finally, call him out for this. And what about the corn roll situation? He's held up by too nice. And I'm like, guys, I watched that too.
Oh, I would love to talk about that. So look at this.
Yeah.
If you so
what's your
so
thought?
I'm here taking a report, right? And look at my screen right now.
Hold
So if you look at my screen, I have the MDT up. So I couldn't even see. Like you have barely any vision around you. So because I had no vision around me, I only saw one person, right? And I saw somebody walk up behind me. No. Oh. So I saw somebody walk up behind me with a knife out, right? Now they didn't have the knife up, right? They weren't holding me up yet, but I saw a clown walk up behind me with a knife out. But I didn't see Benji, or what I know now is Benji, right? Until after I saw somebody walk around me with a knife, and I just turned around and I pulled my gun out before he pulled it up on me, right?
Yeah, you know what's really
So
funny?
I can't see that there was a second person there until, and it didn't occur to me until I saw a second person in green running at me.
Yeah.
So I was like, when people were mad about that, I'm like, bro, what? Hello? What are you guys talking about? But then I realized afterwards I watched the other PO, and I couldn't even hear, dude.
People need to not whisper.
His voice changer in the world. I couldn't even hear what he was saying.
Oh, dude, people need to not whisper. Also, people don't realize this is actually something I hate, and I explained it to my chat. The way audio works in GTA is not based on your character; it is based on the camera. So if someone
Directional voice,
so if someone whispers to your character, they can be right next to your character, and depending on where your camera is, you will actually hear them less clearly, which is crazy that people don't realize that.
Well, see, that's another problem. I don't know what. I never remember this being an issue years ago. Whenever I did RP, there needs to be some kind of audio like rebalancing or something that goes on, because the whisper range is actually really far. So like if you go to the hospital, if you go to any building, it's just like way too dank all the time, especially senior buns at the beginning of the server. You can't hear anything that's going on. It actually, like, I was like, I'm gonna shoot myself. Like this is the worst experience ever that I've ever had.
There was an audio issue in the cells once when a lawyer was chatting with some suspect, and basically I hear the lawyer just mumble like, this cop doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and like I'm almost 2 rooms away and he's whispering to her, and I'm like, I can hear you, and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah. See, like we have stuff like that happens inside of a lot of the buildings, right? So like when that happens, typically like it's like okay, like I just RP it as like I didn't hear it, right? Like I hear it, like Esfand hears it, but Cornwood didn't hear it.
Yeah.
You know, that's like a lot of us do that.
It's-
But again, you don't know if somebody else is acting in good faith on the other side sometimes, and then they do bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I think that's one of the big things with the PD in general, and we've talked about this is when we're bringing people in, like there needs to be there's like a number of like bullet points that everybody in the PD really needs to. You want people that are not self-inserts. We just you cannot have self-inserts being a part. You can't. I mean, to be honest, you shouldn't be a self-insert at all. But there's a lot of people, especially people that are new to RP. I think that it's most natural to I just want to play like I want to play me, you know, and this is me. This is my birthday. This is my name, you know. But you don't want self-inserts in general, because when you self-insert, just naturally you think that you take things to heart too much, because whenever people criticize your character, they take it as they're criticizing you, right? So you don't want to self-insert. You want people that are playing some type of a character, right? Like they have some kind of a backstory. They have like this is the type of person that they are. And that's cool, right? Whether it's more of like a goofy character like Cornwood, or a more serious character like McNulty. Like I always use McNulty as like one of the best examples of like a like perfectly balanced cop of fun, you know, good humor, just overall like generally pleasant person to be around, right? But then on the flip side, when it's like go time, like he's a hard ass when he needs to be. Like I think McNulty is like the best example of that. You know, and that's Custer's character.
Yeah, that's something that took me a while to understand. It took me a while, like, because I was role playing Jerry Sweets in 3.0 for the longest time, and it's like going from a criminal who can do whatever the fuck I want to basically a cop that has to fit a standard. It's like I talk about all the time. It's like the switch. You got to have the ability to look at a situation where it's like, okay, you know, the clowns, they're goofing around, or like James Randall's a better example. He's a silly, goofy guy. I can fuck around and role play with him as much as I want. But the second he throws a cop off a roof, I shoot him in the head. Like, there's a point where you have to look at the fun role play, but look at what just happened and be like, I have to end this now. Like, I have to shoot James Randall. And it's like having that ability to be like funny, silly, goofy role play to I need to be a serious cop. And then if people don't have that switch, they get fucked over and they're getting fired. That's right. That's simple as.
Yeah, also, no, it's simple as just being able to see the. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I just want to say real quick, and I'll let you finish that point. Sab, welcome to the podcast. Are you there? Hello.
Thank you for inviting me again. I appreciate that. Yeah, sorry for being late.
He's no, you're all good. Don't worry. We're talking about all things cops and PD today. Esfand, what were you gonna say there?
My favorite topic.
As you're eating.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm starving. I didn't eat breakfast yet.
What are you eating right now? What is that?
You can eat during the podcast. Guys, this is chill. We're relaxing. You guys can eat, drink, do whatever the fuck.
It's like when you're at a restaurant and the second your food arrives and you start eating, the waiter will come over when you have a mouthful of fucking food and start talking to you.
And at some point, I need us like off the PD stuff and get like more Joe Rogan-y and kind of talk about like whether like a silverback gorilla beats a lion in a fight or whatever the fuck they talk about on his podcast. So at some point,
have you seen a rhino fight an elephant? You got to see that.
Can't gorillas like rip anything clean in fucking half? They're built like tanks.
I think, dude, I literally think I learned this on a Joe Rogan podcast, but apparently there's a type of lion that lives in a section. It's like an island off section, and it's a type of lion. It's still a lion, but the thing is, they only hunt water buffalo, like these giant fucking water buffalo. And so there's literally been this group of, there's a couple of these prides of lions that are notably bigger than any other lions in the world because they basically could only attack water buffalo, and they had to get like fucking bigger and stronger and shit. What were we talking about? Oh, PD, right? Sorry. Okay, I have I have some broader questions about the NoPixel PD, but I had a bunch of hyper specific questions that I wanted to answer because I think they also raised some good stuff. Moon had a take, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it.
Oh, we're going on YouTube on this one.
Yeah, we are. I agree with this take from
Moon. On Reddit, boys.
Yeah, get ready. Sorry. Okay, to be fair, I think he got a little. People got mad at him because they were like, "Well, what about like motorcycle clubs or something like that?"
What aboutism?
And then he was like, well, they can roleplay on a different. So I feel like he got a little taken out of not taken out of context. I think he was being a little spicy, but I actually agreed with his take. I think Los Santos should ban the import of motorcycles. I think they should just cut more motorcycles from the server. I actually would agree with as a criminal. I would agree with this take.
Dude, honestly, oh, go ahead. You. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this.
I'm sort of biased in the sense that I fucking hate motorbikes. I fucking hate them. I can't stand chasing them. I can't stand driving them.
Bikes are cringe.
Anytime I see them, I want to just call the fucking pursuit. I'm like, get this fucking two-wheeled garbage out of my fucking pursuit. But that's because if I look at that, it's because I know how to drive in the city. I'd like to say I'm a pretty good driver. I enjoy chasing fucking cars. I enjoy that high adrenaline pursuit. And the second I see the bike, my brain's like, okay, it's over. It's me basically automatically accepting defeat. And even the MC that I was in a motor club, not a motorbike club. We just collected muscle cars. And even then, BBMC didn't really use bike getaways all that much. We just used cars.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I think you could maybe do a thing where it's like, hey, the only bikes are like the actual like MC kind of bikes, like Hogs, like Harleys and stuff like that. And maybe they're like only single seaters. So maybe you could adjust for it then. People in my chat are saying like, yo, nerf them. I'm going to tell you guys an honest thing. This is like a little cheesy trick I used to do in 3.0. In fact, I bet you Sab knows that like I did this. In character, I would just rent a moped and it like made sense for my character. You look great on a moped, like riding around. Guys, mopeds were fucking busted. Like they are the most nerfed bike ever. This is after they removed like
you used to drive me crazy with those bikes.
Dude, mopeds are literally the slowest bike. They are the most useless thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the speed or the turning rate. It's the fact that they can just squeeze into little corners. That's what makes them busted.
It's agility of a bike, able to like kind of bob and weave through traffic and at the same time go through small alleys.
Yeah.
I think they should remove them. Esfand, what do you think?
Here's the problem is there's 2 parts to RP. Actually, there's 3 parts to RP now. I should say there's 3 parts to NoPixel. There's roleplay. There's what I would consider gameplay. There's roleplay interactions, what I would consider gameplay interactions, and then something that's been. This is a whole conversation, but MMO gameplay. There's like 2 games. There's like action gameplay and MMO gameplay. So I'm to
grinding.
kind of narrow it down. It's grinding, right? So to narrow it down into specifically like the gameplay interaction of grinding, motorcycles don't really have anything to do with that. With gameplay interactions, motorcycles are borderline impossible to balance around.
Yes.
For roleplay purposes, motorcycles are really important, right? Because it's cool to have motorcycle hubs, right? Like having a biker gang is cool. That is cool RP to be able to build around, right? So is there a way to basically be able to have a biker gang, but not have those bikes that are used be abused basically for really imbalanced gameplay interactions? Because we can't do anything against bikes. Because if we follow our SOPs, like we can't hit a bike. Yeah.
As hard as I've tried.
Yeah, weirdly enough, not only bikes are the hardest thing. It's like not only are bikes the hardest thing to catch, it's that you guys actually can't pit them, and it looks really awful if you do. And before anyone's chats say, well, what about the cops chasing with bikes? Dude, this is the reason why people do bike swaps. They're driving a car, and the cop cars are chasing them. Then they swap to a bike. By the time you get a bike unit, that bike's gone. Like that's just the way it is.
It's strange because usually as a criminal, the odds are stacked against you. And I understand why a criminal would be like, okay, we need to use a bike because it is a fast, reliable way to get away because the odds are usually stacked against you. It's like you have rule of 6, but potentially you could have, 8, 9 possible cops against you
30.
with cars that might potentially be better. So I understand Wyatt, but I'm just, man, watching those 2 fucking wheels skirt away through an alley that's this fucking size is fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean, the thing is like at the end of the day, you want to have fun. I think a good example is there's a lot of chases and pursuits that we have that we don't catch the guy, but they're still very fun because they're exciting pursuits to be a part of. And for me, the most fulfilling thing that I get, like Esfand, not Cornwood, that I get out of well, actually even Cornwood to some extent, right? Because like this is just the kind of character, but I get really excited about when I see the PD working together properly
Oh,
and
yeah.
strategically we do
Mhm.
well. Dude, yesterday was amazing. Like there was 10 swaps on a chase. It was like completely ridiculous, right? But dude, the fact that we were able to stick so hard onto everything going on, and we ended up catching one. We caught one out of maybe 10 plus people involved in a situation. But it's not about catching all the people. It's about, hey, are we moving in the right direction as a police department? And having that sort of like team gameplay is just, it feels so good when it's like, okay, you're here and somebody, somebody's gonna respond. You don't have to worry about it, right? It's just like a team sport, and it's super good, dude. It feels great.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's like let's say there's like 900 fucking million crimes being committed a day. You respond to, I
Yeah.
don't know, a suspicious financial activity call. You chase a guy in a blista. That's gonna happen all day. But a chase where it's like you hear the tone shift on channel 1 when there's a 32, which is a person with a firearm, being pulled in the city. The tone changes completely on the radio to like, yeah, okay, we're semi-serious, to like, there is a illegal firearm that's just been pulled. The tone changes and cops swarm, and like, it's that switch. You lock it in and everybody is just like laser focused in. And it's that, I agree, in the sense like it's that same adrenaline where it just feels, you feel like a fucking team. And like, you need moments like that in the PD because, again, like there are a lot of like, you take a lot of fucking shit, so moments like that, morale wise, feel fantastic.
Yeah,
Especially
no,
when you catch a
100%.
fucker as well.
No, and that feels good too, right? Like obviously it's cool to catch somebody, right? It's like, oh, okay, great. But like it's a lot less of the equation than I think people like, cuz a lot of people in chat don't RP, right? So like it's not having that understanding that there's a lot of like the wins in RP don't always come from, it's not binary, right? It's not you either got him or you didn't get him, or it's not you got away or you didn't get away. So but I
But the
think the
problem
more
is
understand that,
people breaking it out into W and L. That's the problem, right? People don't look at the whole
yes.
picture. They
There,
just
hey, there's
simplify it
24 other
into.
letters in the alphabet. It's like it's a lot more than just one or the other.
They're fucking cavemen playing fucking COD, right? Because you either win or you lose in COD, but you don't look at the in between. It's like,
Yeah.
you win or you lose, but if you actually look at the fucking KDs at who performed and how you did well, that's what we like. How did we actually perform in that? And you go off that, and you're like, it's fucking fantastic. But if you just boil it down to win or loss, then cops take a lot of L's, but those wins feel so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to what you said, basically. It's when we try our best, is when we have a collective effort and everybody buys in and tries their best to be part of this role player scene. That, to me, is a W. That's the ultimate W.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it even like, I think sometimes it could literally help. Whether it's, I'm not just saying like, not to glaze myself and say, oh, like having a podcast where people actually talk about it, but sometimes even just messages between some of the cops and crim role players. It's like, end of the day, we're just trying to create cool scenes, right? Like,
Yeah.
I try to explain this to my chat all the time, dude. I swear, guys, I get onto the brink of like losing my mind every day trying to convince my own chat, by the way, not other people's chats, my own chat, as to why I am doing some dumb thing in dumb plan in role play. And I have to just basically tell guys like OOC, because there's cop role players who want content too, and I'm trying to set up good content for them. And it's like, if I give them good content, then I know they're going to give me good content later, and we're going to create cool scenes and stuff. And it's like, I don't care if we fucking lose. I don't care about the L, as long as like there was cool stuff that led up to it. Right?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. As a crim, you need to lose at a certain point. You need to get caught.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
if you don't, I'm telling you, it's so boring. And Custard said this earlier. It's like, okay, dude, okay, I don't know if you guys knew this. Whippy Dundee. Whippy, he literally 911'd himself robbing Group 6 like a week ago because
Fuck, I love Whippy, dude.
he was robbing people and nobody was showing up and he was pissed. He's like, what is happening? He started 911ing his own robberies. He wanted to chase.
When I had him in the cells after interrogating about the tankard stuff, he gets his phone back. I give his possession back, and he walks out and he gets on the phone. He's like, "Hey, I just got away with murder from these bozo fucking cops." And I'm like, you're still Mirandized, and I can use that, right? He was like, "Oh fuck," and starts running.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I could honestly do a whole podcast episode on Whippy and how he plays, like just sort of. Dude, one thing, sorry, this is just a side note. I love that when he is driving through the city in these chases, that he yells at the cops. Like it feels like a character yelling at a cop, as opposed to like, I'm hearing like, I don't know, like Rainbow Six Siege call outs on the radio.
It doesn't feel gamey. It feels roleplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
like
after
cool.
role playing it for so long, and then when I met him IRL, I was like, it's like night and fucking day, man. Like
Now-
you know Dundee's not a self-insert when you meet Whippy. He's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
This is oh, sorry, go ahead, Esfand, and then I got a question for you guys.
Well, I was gonna piggyback off of that, right? A lot of people don't realize, like, okay, you see like you see Mickey and John Paul and Dundee. You see all these different people, right, in game, and they're streamers, whatever. But what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of people have met in real life, right? And a lot of people are friends OOC. Like I'll tell you what, I actually did. Like I almost never actually get upset. I actually got pissed at Rami, the person yesterday, because Rami is a friend.
Yeah, in the
Dude,
cells?
I was actually mad at him because I would not like because it wasn't. Because to me, it would be one thing if it was like some random idiot, but it actually pissed me off because I'm friends with him. And I'm like, dude, you were just baiting the moron so hard. Stop. It's so obnoxious.
And you and Rami are like tight, right? Like you guys know each other for a while.
Dude, yeah, I've known Rami since since 3.0, right? That's whenever we first met. I was trying to get Rami to move to Austin for a while. But anyway, like I love Rami, right? That's my point. So I actually got pissed at him, but it's just like friends get mad at each other
you out for
sometimes.
front cuffing.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, don't do that bullshit, dude. You turned it into me after I hit the button, and there's a delay. There was that, and he was like, he used every single like buzzword that all the morons use, and I was so pissed, dude.
I'm gonna be honest. Robbie is
I was like, you're just baiting him so hard. Stop.
I'm gonna say, dude, Robbie is a self-insert, but it's so funny. Dude, Robbie's been. By the way, dude, Robbie's whole arc that he's been doing, the fucking lawyer arc and everything he's been doing, has been
funny
fucking.
as shit,
It's
dude.
been gold, dude.
The thing is, he does it so fucking well because, like, put anyone in the fucking cells, we know what we're doing. Rami does one thing very fucking well in the cells, and it's create confusion and doubt.
Yeah.
He does that. He makes everyone.
Dude,
Yeah, he makes everyone fucking doubt themselves, and then you're like, oh wait, does this charge stick?
Dude,
and then you read it again, you're like, no, it does stick. What the fuck are you talking about?
Dude, yesterday, well, that's when I walked in and I see them on their phones, and I'm like, hold on, we made a rule here that lawyers can't have their phones whenever they're doing a cell rep, right? And then I went and I asked the guys, like, did nobody take Rami's phone? I was like, what's going on here? Because probably because I know Rami, and Rami is probably gonna make everybody confused as shit, and they're gonna forget. So then I end up being the janitor here, and I have to go clean up the shit. So I go in, and like I do that a lot because I know these guys in real life, right? So it's like you go and it's like I'm the middleman, and I'm like, okay, guys, like let's just get this thing moving, whatever. But then it's like, dude, stop doing the, and then and like. I got annoyed because like everybody else like was confused and dealing with this whole thing because this was actually the first time that we got a tampered firearm. So that's already confusing in and of itself, and you end up being like the guinea pig for that situation if you're a crim that gets caught doing a crime for the first time. So it's already more confusing because people are actually like, okay, how do we put this together? And then on top of that, I was like, we're not following procedure. Let me go help. And then all of a sudden, it just disaster. It was so annoying.
It's funny because we have all the fucking time in the world when we have them in interrogation. We can take our time. We just need to point everything together. But then Rami's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're holding my client in. It's been 30 fucking minutes. Hurry this shit up. You're violating his rights. And I'm like, we're not violating his rights. but in your own head, you're like, am I violating his rights?
That's amazing.
Dude,
That's the
I'm
confusion for sure.
Yeah.
So
It's so funny.
I have a question for you guys. And like, how do you juggle like when to do this? And this is actually a question for Custard. So I'm gonna give you guys a specific example. I thought it was interesting. I want to know like how you guys approach this. We talked about like cops kind of having to be like sort of like mini dungeon masters. How often do you guys have to be really explicit and almost what I would say immersion breaking versus being like way more immersive as a cop? Because I'll preface it with my opinion is I see you guys sometimes, and I feel like you guys almost do it for the chatters. I feel like you guys actually are less immersive for the sake of just not causing issues. And that I'm putting this on you, Custard. This is my number one complaint from the Jean Paul arrest the other day. You guys ready? This guy goes to put Jean Paul in cuffs and is like,
oh, dude, I know
I'm
exactly
calling
what
you
you're
out.
talking
This
about.
guy goes to put him in cuffs and is like, I'm putting you in cuffs. Are you ready? Here they come. Cuffs coming. And you're in cuffs. And this dude is prepping the QTE event. And I'm watching this and I like, listen, I get it. But this is what is crazy to me because dude, in that whole scene, listen, and I'm not going to cover, but in that whole scene, everyone's like, oh my God. And it's a mix. And you know, it's people on Reddit, people on Twitter, people on YouTube. You already can imagine the comments. Oh, Moon said don't jump, but then he tackled him and could have killed him. Oh, but Jean Paul could have pushed him off the pipe. And everyone back and forth. And I don't give a fuck about all that. I'm calling out Lieutenant Custard. Why did you prep the fucking... And does no one talk about this guy prepping the quick time event for the cuffs?
What's
Dude,
funny about that
I love that
is
shit.
I did that to Ray the night before as well. I was like, going for cuffs. You ready? I'm going on 1, 3. It's because I think I had later in the fucking cells, I had to re-cuff Jean Paul. He broke cuffs 6 times in a row.
It's
Cuffs
bullshit.
No
gotta keep
fucking
changing, for
problem.
Sure.
They have
So
to change.
I deploy like psychological like warfare on somebody because it isn't hard to break cuffs. If it's still the same thing, you just press E. It's like repairing a fucking car.
Yes.
And
It's
it's not
easy.
even quick. It's in the same spot every time. And
Yes.
it's like,
Yes. So
and
instead, I have to
Yeah.
deploy a waiting phase where it's like, do I immediately do it or do I? Because all we have to, we were only told all you have to do is say going for cuffs. You just have to alert them. There's no rule about saying when at that point afterwards you have to apply cuffs. So it's like I have to deploy psychological warfare because chances are this motherfucker is gonna break this shit 7 times in a row before I actually cuff him. So I will defend the shit out of that because when it comes to that, we don't have a whole lot of tools, and I will use psychological warfare every
You
fucking
have
time
to.
because it works.
I think
it's so dumb. Yeah.
it does get faster. I do think they need to like. I think I think it should be 1 is like hard, 2 is fucking hard, and then 3 should be impossible to the point where like a 3rd cuff break is like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like this guy's a fucking like it should be a like once in a blue moon kind of thing.
Like
That's
the cuffs in 3.0, I think were pretty fucking good. Like
Oh, dude, the 3rd cuff in 3.0 was fucking hard.
Yeah, but like once someone got to the 4th, I think it insta cuff on the 5th, wasn't it?
4 should be insta. I think 4 should be insta because it's like it gets to the point where it's like okay, but you're right. I think your like scale is 100% right, Blau. Where it's like 3 should be like if you get a 3rd cuff break, that should be like that should actually be badass. I think it's like oh shit. But here's the thing. I thought it was 5
Skill issue
was the total. Yeah, I thought 5 was the total, but then it changed to 4 or 3 for like a day, and then we had a guy yesterday that like me and Maple were chasing, and I think he broke cuffs like 6 or 7 times. Oh no, this was the one last night, SSaab. That guy didn't he say he broke cuffs 6 or 7 times? I asked him. I was like,
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen? Like,
There's just breaks in between. And that's the problem.
That's wild. I think the cooldown should be longer. But the cooldown should be longer. I think Blau, your scale of it, like, 1 should be what it is, probably. I actually think 1 should be a little bit harder than what it is. and then 2 should be hard, 3 should be borderline impossible, and then 4 should be insta.
I would disagree. I think 1 needs to be easy in that sense of like, chances are they're gonna break the first cuff. Like that's kind of a throwaway.
But do you think it's not too easy right now?
No, I think
it's way too easy right
yeah.
now.
Because for me, like, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off, Sam.
I've got it. You guys played oh my god, what's the fucking
shoot him.
No, wait, no, don't shoot him. No, Custer, come on. We're trying. This is guys. I literally
just shoot it.
guys.
Just shoot
I'm
it, that's
only
all.
hosting this episode because Sab said that OOC the image of the cops was bad, and so I had to hold this episode to try and raise the morale. You're hurting it, Custard.
Thank you, Blau.
I got you, man. No, what was the one game where you're like waiting to deploy to the really spooky section and you can arm wrestle people?
Oh, the Outlast trials.
Outlast. Dude, what if when you guys cuff, you guys have to fucking hit the E, and it's like a back and forth of the crim, like really fast to see who can like outreaction the other.
A quick time event,
Yeah,
like against them. I fucking
like
love
a quick
that.
time versus, and that way people can't say the cops aren't. It can't be like it's like hey, you got cuffed, hey, skill diff, buddy. Like
I just.
that would actually be kind of sick.
My
If it happened
brain
really
was like,
fast.
yo, I'm about to install a macro.
I'm not even kidding. If that happened really, like if it happened really fast, where it's like the quick time event just goes back and forth, like bing, 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 of like the two of you, that'd be sick.
The problem with that, it would just get desyncy. That's the only problem.
That's true. Fuck.
Oh,
Dude,
damn. That would be
desync
fun,
ruins
though.
everything.
It does. It does. That's why I keep it simple, honestly. Or like what I wanted to as well was like a tackle mechanic that required like 3 cops to get on top of you, and if those 3 cops got on top of you, that's a cuff.
Dogpile.
Well,
that'd be
what
kinda
about
cool.
this? What about it? What about if you get tased, it modifies the break cuffs. A lot
Oh,
of
like
people
it's
are
harder
"You're
when you're
you shouldn't
tased.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, you're tased. You shouldn't be able to break cuffs. That's fail RP." Somebody said that in chat yesterday. I was like, "Bro, it's." This is what I'm saying. It's like a lot of cop versus crim interactions are gameplay interactions. Don't even think
Yes.
about it as RP. They're gameplay. So like, from a gameplay perspective, that's stupid. Like you got to give them a chance. Make it harder, yes, sure. But if they just can't break cuffs at all while they're tased, that's just. But a lot of what your job is as a cop is like you're not like a mod or like a moderator, right? But you kind of are. Like a lot of what we do is like we have to judge a situation and be like, does it make sense to do this or to do that? And we try and you have to facilitate what's gonna bring the most amount of story to the situation, I think. And on top of that, it's not even to this situation. What's gonna bring the most amount of story to the server overall, right? Or like this character's interaction overall. Because you might have a situation where something ends right away, but that might open up the door. There'll be an avenue for more RP later on, or something happens later on. Something happened a while ago, and Sam, do you remember the night we had the conversation about in character? Like something happened, and then we were talking about doing PD training exercises of like scenario.
Yeah, it was a scene control with JP and them. They came in and they
That's
broke
right.
them out of custody.
So it was good that happened. Like people were like, oh, what? This is bullshit. Like they're just running into a scene, ramming cars, about to hit cops. Why did you not shoot them? Whatever.
Yeah, that was the scene on Orchardvale, I think,
Yep.
where fucking Benji came in that.
Yep. And like I said, we should just shoot him in character. I do actually think there was a point in which you probably should have shot them. However, what that ended up doing was it facilitated RP in the future for the cops, for us to look at it and be like, we need to work on scene control in general. And we talked about that in character, right? So that situation was handled poorly after the fact. And it wasn't any individual person who was involved, right? But it was just as a whole, we just need people on the same page and thinking the same way.
What's funny about that is we obviously have SOPs when it comes to breaking somebody out of custody, which is have someone with their baton out and warn someone if they try to take them out of custody, they get beat. Now, when we had JP in custody yesterday, I shouted the same thing. I said, if anybody comes back to scene and tries to touch him, warn them, beat them with a baton. And I had a bunch of chatters being like, what the hell? That's insane. What, like, that's abuse. And I'm like, it's that funny thing of like, cops are too soft, cops are too hard. They're like, again, it's like a no-win when it's. I think if someone tries to break a violent felon out of custody, beating them is a very justified strat, even if it's
100%, 100%.
right?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. That's the problem, though. Okay, so when we first started the PD and we're discussing everything, we wanted a really immersive police department. We wanted to focus about role play over arrest over WL because we thought to ourselves, okay, if we go down this path of focusing on WL, what's going to turn? It's going to turn into PvP all the time. It's going to turn to very gamey to where sweat versus sweat. And in order to make a arrest, you have to be very sweaty. And we cannot turn the PD into just mechanically gifted people that just know how to tase, tackle, shoot, and drive. That kills the role play in the PD. You need role players who are able to kind of read the room, understand when is it to escalate and when is it to de-escalate, and then hopefully they're able to know how to drive and shoot at the same time and provide some sort of competent police officer experience, right? So that's what you want, but it's very hard to find.
I actually think you guys have done a really good job. I actually really liked the police in NoPixel 4.0. I feel like I role play with the police way more than I did in 3.0. What's weird is the complaints I think you guys get now. And it's funny to me. I think and this brings me to my next question. Like, what are you guys gonna do about this? I think the number one complaint, if I had to guess, is I think people are like, yo, the cops are not. It actually now is to the game. It's not the role play side. I think it's more the gameplay side where people are like, you guys aren't skilled enough. There's not enough like challenge for people. So yeah, or like people will be like, oh, like the police are useless. Like, so what is now? I think I've seen that literally change in the last week. Like I feel like you guys have been more effective. Like what are your guys'? I'm not the one, Chris. Hey, these are word on the street is that I heard this. What is your guys' response to that? Like how are you guys gonna be a more sort of? Because I will admit this. In 3.0, I was fucking terrified of the police. Like early on in 3.0. In 4.0, I'm kind of like, whatever. How do you? But I love role playing with you guys. I love role playing with you guys. I'm not scared of you guys.
Let your dog shit.
No, I'm actually, that's actually my take. I love role playing with you guys. I think the role play is some of the best. I'm not, but the fear that existed in 3.0 does not exist. How do you change that? Or do you want to change that?
You need that. That's what I'm saying.
What fear are you talking about, though? What fear? Because fear of going jail?
No,
or
risk. There needs to be risk.
Guys,
Sorry, go ahead.
There needs to be. I'm
gonna say it. And this is a hot take right here.
Oh.
The reason why you were scared of PD in 3.0 when you first joined is a rule 4. Rule 6, it is so easy to get away. I mean, I will never be scared of PD with rule 6. I'll always get away as a criminal.
Well, here's the thing. So there's a few parts to this. I think it was a massive, like, 10 out of 10 mistake starting off 4.0 with a rule of 6 for crimes. But because the PD doesn't have the tools to be able to combat that, like, at all. We don't have numbers. We don't have bikes. We don't have helicopters, right? We have a lot of new cops. We have a lot of people that, from like, I mean, me, like I was rusty, right? But like, you end up having a situation where you can't really combat it. Now, with that being said, you can't change it now because now people have their crew. So you'd have to cut 2 people out.
Yeah.
And is there like it sucks OOC, right? Like, because that's your job. That's what you do. That's your stream content. So if you lose that, that's kind of shitty OOC because you're taking away what they do away
100%.
from them in a way that, like, I mean, they don't deserve that, So yeah, at this point it's too hard. So what this ends up doing is this like speed runs the RP, and now the PD has to escalate. Like, we need helicopters, we need bikes, we need all this stuff sooner now. And I remember we didn't even have bikes before I stopped playing. Remember, Saab?
Yeah, the BMW came afterwards.
Yeah, because I came back for like a month in whenever it was like the PBSO stuff. Like I didn't play like every day, right? But I played a little bit like a year later, and then we didn't even have bikes then, I don't think.
Yeah.
But my point is a lot of that development is now sped up. Like, there's a huge problem with the server economy, right? There's like a major problem with server economy, and like how you have grinders who grind. Like, there weren't that many grinders, but now like a lot of the more prominent RPers are having to be grinders in order to make money because of the prevalence of the different jobs, which I think is great. But at the bottom, like, having the barrier of entry of everybody able to do that. I'm going to talk about like 6 things at once here. So let me recalibrate here. Bottom line is, a lot of the things that need to happen over the course of the server are now being escalated and sped up because of certain things that have happened or certain things that were put in place at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like the rule of 6, for example, or like now people are using bikes to get away at like 180 miles an hour.
One thing I like about. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was
Well, I
gonna
was
say.
also going to say the cars. Like
Yeah.
we've had like the 9F or the Dominator.
I also see it as growth, right?
Oh,
you can say
1
you weren't
second,
afraid.
Custard. I have to interrupt you before you talk about this. I just want, because I had tons of people spamming it in my chat, and I realized there's a lot of 4.0 viewers. Just to briefly define this for you guys, rule of 4 refers to only 4 criminals could be allowed. It was like a server rule. Only 4 criminals could be allowed in a job. That's how NoPixel used to be. During 3.0, they changed it to 6. So now you could have 6 criminals involved in a job. And frankly, that change does, it massively swings things in criminals' favors. Anyway, sorry, Custard, go ahead. I just wanted to clarify that for the chatters.
I was saying, we as like the PD at the start, in what Esfand was saying makes sense, where it was like the rule of 6 kind of like made it shit hard because we were down bad, right? But groups clicked pretty fucking quick. We obviously still have to slowly grow, but in saying that you're not afraid of the cops, I've seen in the past maybe week and a bit a sort of, I want to say, tone shift where the PD has looked at what we've been doing, and you've now seen like, okay, we've adapted to cops being robbed. The charges have been like quadrupled, and now there's a like, fuck, if I rob a cop and get caught now, I'm fucked. I'm going away for 2 years, and what is it, like 100, like nearly like a 2K fine or something?
100K fine.
Yeah, it's a 100K fine. So it's like through that down bad role play of the PD, we've grown, adapted, made a new point, and you've seen it. Like, I haven't seen a cop getting robbed in a week, maybe more. So with that, we've addressed that, changed, and adapted. So now we're looking at bikes being thing, and we've got bikes coming in. It's like we grow and create the countermeasure, I guess, to the shit that is happening. And my kind of point is, and that's why I still enjoy FTOing. I'm enjoying like bringing people in and helping that grow. I'm gonna enjoy the point where we get to the point where there's like 30 cops on duty, and I feel right now, people can be like, criminals are complacent. They are very complacent. You go up to fucking Pluto, 900 shit being going on, Sandy, there's bullshit going all over the place. Once we get to that fucking point and there's complacency there, I cannot wait till we have the cops who just pounce on all over that fucking shit. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, there's so many calls, and well, so we talked about this in character, Custard, where we're talking about prioritizing 911 calls over dispatch 911.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, there's a lot of talk about like, you know, how PD was before, how the server was before, or whatever, and you don't want to have a situation where the people on the server, right, the people playing on the server kind of lose trust in the PD. And I've kind of looked at it in the opposite direction of like how things had been approached, because from what I saw or what I heard was that, okay, well, we have to be like easier on people because the cops would go too hard. We can't go too hard on people and stuff at the beginning. But on the flip side, what ended up happening was now you have people that want to play civs because there's more opportunities as a civ now than ever. They don't want to be criminals. And being a civ, you end up getting robbed a lot and all this other stuff. And then they feel like the PD is failing people in another avenue because nobody's responding to their calls for help. So like in character, I've had a bunch of people tell me, you know, like I called 911 or I did this and nobody was there. Nobody showed up. There's like nobody on duty or whatever. And I'm like, but on our end, we're like running around nonstop doing stuff, or we're spending hours writing reports and processing people in the jail cell.
Yeah, because you guys have to balance your, like, what I like to say is like literal cop role play versus responding to calls, which oftentimes is, by the way, Esfand, I love this framework that you gave of role play, the action gameplay, and the MMO gameplay. Because it's like you guys have to, I would say cops don't actually have to do the MMO one. Like you guys almost don't do as much of the MMO. But what's crazy is you guys are like, it is literally mandatory. In fact, I think you guys have rules that you almost have to respond to the action that occurs because that's part of, you know, say the criminal role play. It's like you guys, you know, and this, I remember this used to be a thing in 3.0. I'm sure you guys have rules about it now, but it's like, you know, when there were, even when people like cops hated responding to banks, it was like, you have to go respond to these calls. Because it was almost like you have to give the criminals their role play, right? So I think even just having more cops will let you guys balance the like cop role play you guys want to do and just being able to respond to all the like shit going on in the city.
Yeah. It's tough.
I think there's also like an importance of responding to the 911s and shit is like pure RP, right? That is, I arrive on scene and I chat with these people. That's what happens. I grab my evidence or grab my statements. That's just pure RP. What I don't want to see happen is what you're saying, Blau, where it's like, I don't want cops to be like, oh great, here's vault number 300, here's boost number 905 today. I don't like it might happen, but having like one major job be available a day, because having to respond to that shit back to back to back to back to back, and like your entire day is a 9-hour pursuit. Like, I fucking love driving, but there's a point where I want to put my head through a fucking wall. And I think people don't quite get that when we call off pursuits these days. When we look at small shit and be like, oh, I'm not chasing this motherfucker because he ran a red light. I'm going to give this 5 minutes and pull the fuck off. So it's a fun thing of like making sure that when it comes to like the laundromat job and shits that are popping up, I don't know from a cop standard how often that can be done. I have no clue. But I've only ever seen it pop up once a day. And when it does, it's like a big thing, even though it's a fucking laundromat. Like, oh shit. Someone might
funny
like
that it's a laundromat.
Yeah, I think it is. It's like it's like, why the fuck I have no idea in character or out of character why the fuck criminals are robbing a fucking laundromat. From a cop standard, I'm like, what the hell? This makes no fucking sense. What are you, robbing quarters in people's dirty fucking laundry? I don't understand.
It's because of that weird discrepancy, and I can do it one time. I was like, fuck yeah, we're just gonna pretend like we got our clothes stolen. And that's what I love that you got that. I know Sab was on scene for that, but I love that you guys rolled with that. That was like, yeah, we just got our fucking clothes robbed. What the fuck? Like, it's a lot of that.
Well, dude, so here's the thing with that is like, this is something that has kind of sucked about cop RP now versus in the past whenever I was around, because I wasn't around for the last 2 years of 3.0 basically. But one of the things that kind of sucked is like the amount of paperwork is insane, and it kind of leads to that last point. It's like what you're saying now and the last, where there's not enough cops out on patrol, and then you have to go deal with something, and then people need help or whatever. We spend a lot of time report writing and processing people in the cells, right? Sometimes like hours, right, in a day. And part of the problem I think that's come about is crims are like, you get caught and then you argue something that isn't really like there's no, you're like RPing something that there's no mechanic around it, right? So I think the laundry thing, I think that was funny, right? I'm not talking about that, but like I'm taking it like a step further, right? Where people will say like, oh, well, I was doing this or I was doing that, but there's no way to prove or disprove that. And I think what's happened over the years is like the more things that people come up with to argue against a charge and saying they're innocent, then leads the cops to have to do more work to like build more evidence to a case and get like piece by piece. Okay, we have a photo of this. We have a DNA scan of this. We have this happening here. Okay, if you reference this report, this thing happened like 3 days ago with this person. And it ends up being like a lot of paperwork just to be able to get through with stuff. And then I think the thing is like people want like jail time off, or they don't want to have to do this, or they don't want to have to do that. And it's just kind of like, well, I'm a cop. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm being punished as much as you are here, and I have to write the paperwork about it. I'm being punished more. I hate that shit.
Yeah, like, bro. At least when we go into prison, dude. Man, I agree. Oh, there's so much you said. I agree. If we go to prison, at least I can go AFK and watch clips, bro. You have to write shit. That is literally the worst punishment ever. And here's the thing. I think if it's for some like, you caught the fucking biggest drug op, some shit. Yeah, obviously the photos, the in-depth details, but it's like, yeah, man, I fucking caught you like robbing a car. It's like, yeah, hey, man, just like, I think at the end of the day, sometimes like I feel like cops all the time, you guys just accept what our L's for you guys. I think criminals just need to accept L's. I think they just need to, you know what? Fuck it. I'm caught. And then just
you
create
just need
roleplay out
them.
of
You
it.
need them because it makes the wins more interesting. Truthfully.
I will say when it comes to sell RP, I think it has gotten better in the sense like people are actually like, yeah, I want a fucking lawyer. Yeah, this is like I think lawyer RP has like quadrupled in 4.0 because people aren't just like, yeah, I did that shit.
That's fair.
Give me time served and that's fine. People are actually like, yeah, I want a lawyer. I want a lawyer and I want to fight these fucking charges. I enjoy articulating my charges. I enjoy that I enjoy arguing my fucking points. I love understanding people's points of view. I'm the same as Esfand. It's like, I fucking hate writing reports.
But the actual process is fun.
But it's part of it. It's that like it's the downside that I have to sit there and essaying away, being like, yeah, there I was, yada yada yada, fucking shot a guy. It's boring, but it's part of the fucking it's part of the beast, you know?
I feel like when lawyers are involved though, it becomes much more dialogue and less you guys having to write stuff. There was even I forgot this cop's name. He was great though. And he like, instead of like doing all this report shit, he went and showed me the fucking car that got totaled. And it was so fun. Like the car was it was a cop car that was just destroyed into oblivion. And I'm a lawyer. I'm like, that'll buff right out. That's not an issue. I'm trying to yap. It felt more like, hey, we got to like yap and do like good role play as opposed to him having to fucking go into the thing and type all that stuff. So I think if that's the case, yeah, I don't want. Yeah, it was Officer Maple, whichever role player plays that. I don't listen. And Sab, I'm telling you, I will not wake up Clay Kona until I have a guarantee that I don't have to write fucking. By the way, this is. I don't know if Custard or Esfand know this about. I played a cop character in 3.0 and I purposefully made him illiterate so that I didn't have to write reports.
We had a guy apply who couldn't write and read, and we only found that out after Academy.
Bro, and Sab wouldn't hire. Sab would.
No. He knew how to write reports. He wrote a report Academy. Okay, so I don't know what the fuck happened.
Bro, Sab.
You forgot. Hey,
Sab would
you wrote
not
one
hire.
report and he was like, "Wait, I forgot." Retcon.
Guys, it was literally an OOC decision, and Sab made me fucking. Literally, for my character to be hired from a cadet, I had like it became an arc then that my character had to learn how to read, and I was so fucking pissed because I literally just wanted to have an illiterate cop so I could just always not. I'm being serious though. I would role play cop more if I didn't have to do reports. I feel so bad for that. That sounds it's worse than jail.
I wish there's a way to make reports easier. I wish, but the problem is like when people demand everything and they want to see what's going on, we have to report.
That's the thing. We at a certain point for everybody's sake, it should be like a handshake rule that it's like, look, let's act in good faith here and let's not make up some bullshit. Like, you know, you did it. I mean, because I am now like I am now at the point where I'm like I'm like full send. I've said this in game. I was like, I'm okay, Cornwood's gloves off. No time served, no nothing. If you want a bench trial, okay, you sit right there. I'm gonna look for a judge and I'm gonna start writing this report. And then what happens is that, like, because that's what we have to do in order to go through that process in a meaningful way, to not make everything else that happened leading up to that point feel meaningless and a waste of time. So what ends up happening is everybody's time ends up getting wasted, and inadvertently, it kind of kills the RP. Because instead of me bantering and talking to somebody in the cells, I have to sit there and focus and actually type things out. My reports I used to do all my reports in character. All caps, because Cornwood, you know, like I'm getting old, can't see too good. I do all caps to avoid confusion. You know, this sumbitch did this, you know, it's a dadgum shit show out there. I want to shoot his ass, but I didn't, obviously, because of our SOPs. Like, I'd say stuff like that, right? In character, but I've had to get to the point where I'm actually like, okay, I have to stop RPing because I have to do this report, and I have to stop talking to the person, and I have to start typing things out instead of thinking about how Cornwood would say it. So it's just, holy shit, dude. Like, it drives me nuts. I had a situation, I was about to go to bed, and I stayed up an extra 8 hours dealing with a situation the other night. But it was rewarding whenever it was all said and done, in terms of, they were just being so annoying, dude. Like, because we don't have, like, we can't check for blood. We used to have the ability to check for blood on a knife, before, but since they're rebuilding everything now, we don't have that. So you're supposed to OOC it, right? Or emote it. That it's like, oh, we're taking this to the OOC labs, right?
Yeah.
And this person like didn't understand that. Like literally they responded, NGL, never heard of that, kind of weird. And I'm like, bro.
So I have to talk about it because someone sent me that fucking clip of you just being like, ma'am, you need to come back or you're not coming back at all.
Yeah,
I fucking lost it at that fucking line.
Because here's the thing, I'm facilitating RP as much as possible with somebody who is clearly new. Like I'm telling you, chat was like, this person should be banned. 100%. You should report this person, get this person banned, whatever. And I'm like, guys, this person is clearly new, and this is like my general like how I am. Like I don't like reporting people. Okay, I don't like reporting people. I don't like being a tattletale. I just don't do that. Right? I like to deal with things man to man. So in general, I'm like, this happened, and then there'd be something else that happens after it, and I'm like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. I'm here like defending this person because they're new, and I'm trying to help like inform them as much as possible, like, because there's a lot of other people, dude. It had gotten to the point where there was a lot of other people that probably would just reported and moved on. But I was like, no, this is somebody who's new to the server clearly, or they're new to RP. They had like a 10,000 something ID. Like they're new. Let's like give them a chance here, and let's help them out. Because the same thing happened to me 3 years ago, right? Or yeah, like 3.5 years ago now, or whenever it was. You know, like I was running around on Cornwood as somebody who was not a cop, who my RP was that he was a retired cop that moved to the city from Rust RP Blau. You remember whenever we did Rust with Offline and all those guys? That's where Cornwood came from.
I remember that.
Yeah, and people kept spamming me to like, dude, play Cornwood, because I played Alley for like a week or two before that, and I was like, maybe it's time for me to move on from RP, like, you know, because I was doing variety and I was doing WoW, and it's like, okay, let's move on to the next thing, right? But then they were like, just play Cornwood before you go. And I was like, okay, fine. So that's when Cornwood was made, and I kept inserting myself into scenes, and like cops would huddle up, and I would just butt in, and I would start giving a report. I'm like, yeah, hey, I talked to this guy, and this what happened, and there was a couple guys that were like, hey, get the hell out of here. What are you doing? You're gonna get obstruction. And I was like, okay. I just like walked away. And then eventually what happened was Toretti was Mantis, right? I hop in the car with Mantis and I start talking about a situation, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. And Mantis, 1,000% full send, plays along, and he's like, oh, holy shit. Yeah. And he just lets me sit in the car, and he just drives me around, eventually goes to the station. He's like, yeah, well, you're not an officer, so you probably got to get out of here. Who was it? I think Han arrested Cornwood and interrogated him, then threw him in the cells. And then I can't remember which judge came by because they wanted to arrest Cornwood for vigilantism. And then, was it like a Hawk? Is that Hawk? Is there I can't remember. Somebody. They wanted to arrest Cornwood for vigilantism. But then they realized vigilantism was not a crime in 3.0 yet. So they ended up letting Cornwood go. And then eventually, 5.0 and Coil, right, Andrews and Zoze, hired Cornwood because they were like, look, you got to make it sure you can't be a vigilante, but you can be an officer, you can be a cop. So then I decided to join PD, and literally I remember looking up my profile in the MDT, and the first line in the summary is never let this man anywhere near law enforcement ever. So that's kind of how I got started. So my point is sometimes somebody is new to RP, and you just have to kind of help in RP, kind of shove them along instead of reporting them or getting them in trouble right away. You know what I mean? So that's right. Now I had to deal with bullshit for 8 hours, and I was annoyed, but it is what it is.
I mean, like,
so anyway,
that leads to like this broader thing of like, I just wish, and maybe I actually think NoPixel should just send out I think they should send out an announcement on the Discord or have a video. Dude, everyone watches all of these meta clips, OOC drama clips. We should have them send out a literal clip of, I don't know, Coil or someone else just being like, hey, everyone who role plays as a crim, a mandatory viewing clip of them being like, hey, try to treat each other with respect. Here's like just some general guidelines about being respectful. Know that like, hey, when you say this to a cop, they have to go fucking write out this whole report. Try not to do it unless it's like a serious thing. Thank you so much. Like we should have like, I don't know, monthly mandatory clip viewing of some out of character clip that just lets everyone chill. I have to ask you guys now on a question that I don't know if you as cop, streamers want to answer, but I want to get your take on heists and how you guys feel about heists as from the cop perspective in 4.0.
I think they're sick. I just think I think there's too many swaps, and like I think the rule of 6 is tough. But I think I've had a ton of fun. I don't know how you guys feel.
I think there needs to be a cooldown between heists. So
Yeah.
Okay.
because there's so many groups doing crime, right? And people are fighting over heists and what to do at times. And there's so much going on to where like just a small cooldown, an hour cooldown between or 2 hours, would be enough to give us space in between so we can focus on one heist at a time instead of having like 5 go off at the same time.
What?
So you're talking about a server cooldown, not an individual cooldown.
No,
Right.
if like a laundromat has been hit, like you can't hit it for another hour or 2 or something like that.
What is there a cooldown now? Somebody in chat said there is. Is there a cooldown?
Apparently there is.
So how the hell do people know there's a cooldown? And people are literally robbing it and then going back and I can't do it again.
I'm gonna be
Trying
honest.
to grinding heists.
I'm gonna, guys. This is gonna be kind of wild. Technically, my group has done it the most as an individual group, and I don't know how the fuck it works. Listen, I'm gonna
I
be
still
guys.
don't know how it works, honestly.
I have my role. I come up with the fucking plans. I don't touch the fucking all the other fucking scheduling, loading the contract. I don't know how the fuck it works. I can't even tell you guys OOC because I don't know.
For me, swaps and shit, it's like, yeah, that shit's annoying, but criminals have to do it, right? Like when I talk about like cops usually outweigh crims when it comes to a lot of the equipment and shit we have. Swaps are just going to be the bread and fucking butter. You can have drivers that are just genuinely good drivers. They hit rat strats, they hit racing lines, and that's the kind of chase that I love. Swaps are just going to happen. Once that vehicle starts smoking, you know they're like, yo, let's go swap ready at fucking Red Garage, Upper La Porta, yada, yada. That's going to happen.
Yeah, it works.
It works. Yeah, it works. And it's like, that's what's going to fucking happen.
Red Garage has become a meme, by the way.
It's been a meme since 3.0, mate. It's a fucking meme.
I do that. I threaten my chat every time. Every time I'm setting up some stupid fucking plan and they start malding and complaining and saying it's not going to work, I'm like, all right, guys, we're doing Red Garage swap today. That's how I threaten my chat. I'm not even kidding.
What I find the most enjoyable part of Heist is that pre like interaction RP where we arrive on scene. And there's something like if it's just your regular, blacked out, holding them up with a fucking knife or a gun, free pasta, no spice, whatever the fuck. But like when someone creates a fun RP scenario out of the heist, like it's fun as fuck. That pre-engagement where there's that bit of banter and maybe like you were saying where you created like, oh my god, they robbed our fucking clothes. Raving like they robbed my $3,500 fucking Gucci suit or some bullshit like that. That's like the fun part of it. And then once it gets to the chase, that is arguably, that's all skill. That's all mechanics and skill.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I fucking love heists, especially when they're just something fresh and new. But like, as long as there's a cooldown in between it, because we're responding to like 900 fucking 911 calls. And I'm in the fucking server right now and someone's like, yeah, there's a G6 robbery going on and everyone's at a laundromat. Talking to someone holding up a hostage at a laundromat. RP wise, it makes no fucking sense. They're stealing clothes or some shit.
Yeah.
If I tell someone, oh, we're dealing with a hostage situation, someone's robbing a laundromat, they're gonna be like, I'm sorry, there's millions of dollars of cash in the back of a Group 6 truck. So it's as long as there's a cooldown in between it and I can respond to 911s and help people, then I fucking love heists.
I'll take it a step further on what you were saying. So with that frame of logic, even in character, it makes more sense to be more worried about the Group 6. I think even OOC, it makes more sense to be worried about the Group 6 because those are other players, those are other people.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas the laundromat robbery, like that's like that's an in-game mechanic. That's an RP thing entirely.
Yeah.
But them robbing another player or another person, I think should be the priority in most cases because when we talk about losing the civilians and losing the people's trust, like that's what it is. That's what it comes down to because people feel like they're not being respected too. So, and those investigations and that stuff is way harder to follow up on, but it's more rewarding because you're helping somebody. Plus there's like more like actual like investigation that goes into it and it's sick. So,
and I do like the idea that like, it is interesting because like when you guys, like, let's say you catch the laundromat criminals, no one fucking cares. In fact, I think the dynamic that has been basically the crims and the civs are in opposition to the police. is because the Crims just rob the nebulous money of the city, right? Whereas when the Crims are actually robbing the civs, all of a sudden, and I think we're seeing it now, where like, which is actually I think a cool thing in 4.0. I think more people are like, yo, fuck these criminals. I want to be friends with the cops now because they like, and if you guys catch the G6 robbers,
way more. I've had more civilian interaction in 4.0 than I have in 3.0. That's one thing I liked about 4.0. There's more civs than criminals.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I've liked that a lot.
Yeah. What I will say, one thing I've heard mixed, this is a take I have on Heists that I hope this would be like a clip that I would want sent out. And it would be this. It's like kind of fucked up. It's like, it's sort of a weird fucked. I don't know. Maybe I don't know how to say this. My favorite thing about the laundromat that we've done is that I don't have to wait for some stupid fucking door to open and that it's actually fast. I pray to God that all of the future heists are not me trying to solve a fucking escape room to rob a bank. I don't mind if that like hacks or some hard thing, but I don't want to have to, because it is so, I have watched these clips of like a bunch of cops stationed outside of the vault or wherever else. And they're like, all right, time to go open some fucking CSGO cases. Like we're just fucking waiting around. I love that the laundromat and hopefully the future heists of 4.0 where the cops show up and it's pretty like we're ready to go. The only downside of that is, and this might need to just be a rule, I think Crims need to not cheese it as much.
Well, we had a situation the other night where,
and I say that as someone who did do a plan that cheesed it, kind of.
Well, we had a situation the other night where it was crate robberies, right? Ammo crate robberies, and somebody, I don't know who all was there. I know it was XCC and others, but they went and they robbed 2 crates, and they had more people than we had on duty involved. And like, because there was cars circling around, and I was like looking at people, like there was cars like surveying the area beforehand, and there were different cars than cars that came up, and the cars they came up with were way faster than our cars. And what we had to do, literally, they robbed 2 crates at the same time. I don't know if you were there, but they robbed 2 crates at the same time, and they had one guy holding up a hostage. They had 3 people on scene, and they had other people around in cars. So it's one guy, one hostage, and we have 3 cops. And there was 2 guys inside the crates, grabbing ammo and guns and whatnot. So we had a situation there where it's like, okay, we just have to get the hostage back, but we can't follow these guys. Just get the hostage back and let them go. And it's a free robbery. And this is one of the things I've talked about before. A lot of people look at everything in a one-on-one situation where it's like this circumstance versus like this team versus this other team, cops versus this criminal, like cops versus crims. But it's not always cops versus crims. It's the cops who are in this scenario. Actually, no, really cops are right. So it's the cops versus the criminals who are in this scenario, and what they get or what they earn out of this whole scenario. How does it affect the economy of the whole server? But not just like a paper like cash economy, but like the power economy and the power dynamic. Because then what ends up happening, if one criminal group ends up getting all the guns and all the stuff, then it makes it boring on the crim side of things for their own internal conflicts that they have. And I think a lot of people don't look at it that way. So I actually made a point. I was like, you could make a point that was a scenario in which we could have breached. We have 3 cops. There's a guy there. Now, it not exactly. There was a small window of time where we could have done it. But if you have 2 people in crates right here, and they're not paying attention, and they have one guy holding up a hostage, if that guy doesn't pay attention, or he puts his gun down or puts his gun away or something like that, and he's not holding his gun up to the hostage, then we have an opportunity to move on this. And I think if we had that opportunity, we should have taken it, because the fact that they were robbing 2 crates at the same time on some super long cooldown that we don't know what it is at the time. At that time, we didn't know how long the cooldown was. We just know that it lasted over 1 tsunami. So it's like, if you have this one group getting 2 crates at the same time, and there's only X amount of crates, and I don't know how many other crates this group has gotten, who knows, then for the power dynamic and the balance of the server, we should breach in that situation, or we should find a way to stop these guys aggressively.
I have a feeling if you guys had a few more cops there, it would have probably made sense too. I think with 3, it's a little risky, but like again, that comes down to you guys just don't have that many people. So
Right. But am I wrong for feeling that way about?
No,
like,
no, no,
because-
you're right. Because I
No,
brought
you
this in
make
character.
sense.
Because if that's where the guns are coming from, then we need to go hard on that shit. Because that's where the supply is coming in, right?
Yeah. So like it turns into a situation where like we can't have one group. You can't even have like one, because it just sucks for everybody else on the server. And to be fair, it would suck for that group too, because then you have no real conflict with any other group. You're too powerful. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, I look at it from an IC perspective. Like these weapons are gonna be, used against us, the civilian population. So we do everything we can to stop these weapons from falling in the wrong hands of bad guys. That's kind of how I see it in IC, right? Because it could have further ramifications afterwards when they get away, right?
yeah, no, you're right, 100%.
yeah, and I think one thing I'd like to see is kind of like it's sort of hard to do, but it's almost like the cops want to match the role play of the people they're going against. This is like a weird thing where it's like, yo, if you're going into these criminals, it's like, yeah, it's like this is let's say it's a heist. It's like, yo, this is more like The Town, right? If you guys have ever seen that, is it The Town? Is that the one with like Ben Affleck and them? It's like a Boston robbery, and they're like fucking shooting guns and shit, and it's like kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then like on the flip side, it's like, okay, you see that it's like some job that like Mickey and his crew is doing, and you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be more Ocean's 11-y. This is gonna be more of like a chase kind of vibe.
Like read the room.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of read. I would actually be totally okay too if a bunch of like, listen, if criminals want to speed run getaways and speed run like the content and go more for the MMO side of stuff, I actually think that's fine. If they're like, hey, I can cheese this fucking heist and just run out, let them. I would be like, honestly, let them do it. Don't put in mechanics to stop them. Like, just let them do it. I would rather the server exist in that way, and then also allow for the groups that are like going to do it more slowly and want to set up like a bigger plan for, the cops can then show up. It can be a fucking, they don't have to wait around, and it can be more respectful. It's almost like more respectful of everyone's time then,
I think it's like reading who the group is as well. I know there's certain, like if I come across like ADMC, like basically a lot of the old BBMC people I RP'd with, I know I can sort of read the tone, like I can fuck around with these guys a little bit, right? Like I have a good rapport with these guys, so I know I can kind of fuck around a little bit. But then there's also heists where it's like, I feel like this is a group that is taking this very, very seriously, and I as a cop need to match that energy.
Yeah.
But
Well, sometimes people have a. Go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say people have like a certain preconceived notion about you because they might not really know you. Like I know a lot of people individually at this point, because I've been around long. And all 4 of us have, right? So we know a lot of people on like a personal level, but there's times where like somebody doesn't know who Saab is or who Lieutenant Custard is, or they might know who McNulty is, or like OOC, they've seen a clip of one thing that's happened in RP, and then they assume everything about that character because of the clip, right? They'll see Cornwood do something goofy or like whatever, and they'll be like, oh, I saw a clip of Rami throwing a hot dog out a window at a traffic stop, and Cornwood ran to go get it, and Rami drove off. Right? I knew he was going to drive off, right? But I just did that because it was funny, Like it's
a good scene.
What it is. It's a good scene, But now it's not going to happen every time. That didn't happen until Rami did it, and then it happened nonstop after that. Okay, so it's like, guys, come on, all right, like. I know what's going on here. You're not going to get away with all this every single time because it's not funny it's not entertaining or funny if it happens every time.
Don't push a bit.
Right, exactly. So it's just people only see things through like the lens of their character. They don't think about what all is going on for everybody at all times, and that's something that can happen to anybody, right? Whether it's like I'm talking about it, but there's 100% chance that I've done it. No, that's just what happens. So sometimes you just have to be cognizant of like, you might be wrong about what you think about somebody or how somebody is playing their character. Like, I mean, I did a thing where, I don't know, were you guys awake? There was a laundromat heist right after the tsunami where I took Avery hostage.
Yes, I was there.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah. So they had a hostage, and like they had a bunch of people, and we didn't have numbers, and like people were like, we were waiting for people to get there. So I extended the RP.
Yeah.
I was like, Avery, hey, just play along, okay? I'm not gonna shoot you, I promise. And I grabbed her, and I threw a gun to her head, and I held her hostage, and it was just like question mark from the people playing the crims, and it was funny because they were like, how do we respond to this? But it extended the RP by like 2 or 3 minutes while we waited for people to show up because we needed more cops on scene before we could actually do it. Instead of just standing around like thumbing our nuts for 5 minutes and it being boring. You know what I mean? Like obviously it's like, yeah. But it's like stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I just wish people, stuff like that. And I just wish in general people would just, I think this goes to like viewers, like I just wish everyone would kind of relax more and be like, hey, like, you know, we all fuck up. I mean, I had a whole fucking thread about me because I fucking stabbed Jean Paul. And I'm like, hey man, I don't rob people, so I forget that there's the fucking UI menu that pops up and all that shit. So I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm the least skilled gamer when it comes to this game, dude. My character dies from not eating all the time. I didn't know how to run Grime because I don't know how to fucking open the app menu, fucking select this. I wish people would look at situations like that, or the corn roll where, you know, the knives and there's fucking UI menus. You don't see that. I just wish viewers would be like, hey, you know what? Bunch of goofy ass streamers. Like, none of us are actual fucking gangsters. Like, hey, you know what? Just laugh it off and go on to the next scene. That's kind of what I wish people would do.
In a fucking perfect world, I mean, yeah, because if you look at what we're doing as a whole, we're a bunch of like 20, I'm like nearly a 30-year-old man, like a former chef role-playing a fucking cop who's trying to create a PD. It's stupid as fuck. If you think of like how silly this is, we're just a bunch of people just pretending to be cops and criminals. It's so fucking goofy. And when people take it too seriously, I find it so fucking funny. But not to say that I don't think there's some very genuine, heartfelt stories that are created. But like when people fuck up and they're screaming at you, oh my God, I'm like, dude, like the second I turn my stream off and I'm out of the city, I do not think about RP. I'm cooking away. I made some pancakes last night. I was chilling away. Doesn't even cross my fucking mind. It's just so fucking silly to me how seriously some people take this shit.
Well, that's because people. Oh, God, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say for me, it's the same thing, but not because I'm doing other stuff. It's because I'm sleeping.
Esfand wakes up, role plays, then goes to sleep. Have you thought about this, by the way, Esfand? You realize in terms of your life, right? You've realized this? Okay, I hope you know that your life, if you don't count sleep, your waking hours, you are currently more Cornwood than you are Esfand.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's just like, I just love it. It's fun. Like, it's, you know what I mean? But to be fair, I'm like this in almost everything I do. When I'm working on something, like I'm like locked in. Like that's just how I am.
Hyper focused.
You know?
Tab, what were you gonna say?
Mine is a little bit more, going back to piggybacking to what like LT said. Basically, a lot of people just cannot separate because they live and they breathe roleplay so much. They spend so much time on it, including myself, right, on the server, to where that becomes a reality. That becomes what they kind of just like live and breathe, and that's their world, right? So everything about it to them matters, and if anything happens and anything changes, it affects them out of game because there's so much they invest their time into in game, to where if something does happen in game, it does bleed OOC.
Yeah.
I think viewers take RP more seriously than the streamers do.
Oh yeah, of course.
So sometimes, I mean, like, I don't know if you guys know, like, this shit, like, when Jean Paul robbed our own crew, and you know what? There were even viewers who were criticizing like the streamers like Racy and Lysium about this, but like, dude, they spent a month in the fucking game grinding this shit. Like, of course they're OOC affected. Like, bro, that's like, I called out people who were, because like, here's the thing, there is stuff that does affect us OOC, and we sometimes do take it seriously, but it's like, we're the ones doing it, not the viewers. That's why I'm like, viewers, don't you guys get upset. Sometimes the streamers will, or it affects us, and we try our best to not have it be like that bad, but like, bro, anyone who has had like a hardcore WoW character or played Rust or any Tarkov, whatever the case is, you know that shit can suck when you fucking lose that. And that's why I'm like, bro, Ray C's a fucking Russ Sweat and lost and that shit, you know, affected. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, at the end of the day, even those biggest L's, and this is why I love that comment that you made earlier on the Crim cop dynamics, Esfand, of so much is built out of like getting caught, going to jail, or like having things taken away from you, because it just builds more story. And arguably Jean Paul like robbing all that shit from us, like that will be people will talk about that as one of the craziest things that happened in NoPixel 4.0 like a year from now. Like that shit will be hard to top. It was fucking wild.
That was the first heist, right?
That was that was actually the first heist. It's the house heist. And like, I don't think people realize that if that was like the mid 3.0 economy, that would have been like a $20-30 million heist. It was fucking crazy.
Christ.
It was wild. It was months of work. It was crazy.
I laughed my ass off at that. I'm just gonna put that.
Dude.
Out there. I couldn't stop laughing at that for like a solid day. I thought that shit was hilarious.
It was so
absolute hoodwinked. I think is just too.
It was
funny.
so good. It was so good. And here's and you know what? This actually ties back into like, I think how people view cops and something that you guys probably feel is a stress. To like XQC, the role player's perspective, is then everyone's like micro analyzing him. I actually do think he gets analyzed in a similar way to that cops do, where it's like everyone's like focuses on him with hyper scrutiny, where everyone's like, oh, but he did it offline. Oh, but he did this and he did. And it's like, hey, you know what? Let's just not like hyper, like we can debate these little micro, who cares? Content's there. Let's roll with it now. Let's move on. And I wish everyone
RP it out.
Yeah. I wish everyone would take that kind of energy to any of these sorts of scenes and stuff. So,
yeah.
all right.
I do want to talk about like the how things can affect somebody OC, right?
Hit me with it.
Well, like we have a situation, like this is a conversation that's come up in game, in character, but it's about like people getting like suspended, right? Or
I
fired.
want to talk to you guys about this.
So, like, the problem is, these are in-game things that affect you in real. They affect your stream. Like, if you are a cop RPer, and then all of a sudden, you're because of RP stuff, you now can no longer play your RP character and do your thing in RP, and then it affects your stream negatively, then that hurts your. I mean, it's the bottom line, right? Like, it hurts your income, like it hurts your livelihood, right? And that's where, like, you know, people are saying like, oh, why is somebody so upset? Just RP it out. You're talking about like the Lysium thing, you know, for example, is like an example of like somebody, you know, taking something to heart a little bit, and it like in the moment, like, yeah, that feels bad in the moment, sure. Well, like if somebody gets like fired or suspended, it's like all of a sudden, while I do believe there need to be repercussions for certain actions, and I do believe there's a point in which we can't have this. I 100% believe that. But let's say like in Denzel's situation, right? In Dean's situation, when he gets suspended, it's like, okay, well now he can't play his cop character, and he does cop RP. And in my opinion, he's very good, right? I think he's great. He does some things that are kind of like borderline he shouldn't do sometimes. Yes, but it also is what makes his character so great, right? And you kind of need like all the flavors in the PD. If everybody is like a certain person, then it's gonna suck. It's gonna be boring, right? You can't have, the cops are not supposed to be NPCs. They're not supposed to be bots, right? You're not farming stars, okay, in GTA 5, and you're running around and then you go hide in the shadows for 6 seconds and your stars fall. You know what I mean? It's just very different. So that's one of the cases of like, it sucks because it affects your stream whenever it's like, okay, this isn't like something I'm not fairly being punished for this. And then it snowballs into the point of like, okay, we'll just RP it out. Like, spend a day as a civ. Like, I got suspended for 24 hours on Cornwood, and it turned into one of my best streams up to that point, in my opinion, because it was good content. Think, what's Cornwood going to do if he's off duty for a whole day, right? Now, I personally believe that it was dumb that Cornwood got suspended, right? The reasons were dumb. But from an RP sense, you know, at least it worked out, and it was good content. It was fun to watch. The problem is whenever there's so many times, or you get so many different strikes for things that don't really make sense, or they don't add up, or they're not equally enforced, And it happens to a degree where the cops are PvPing against themselves, and we get punished more than the crims do for anything the crims like. There's no crime that is worse than any sort of like self-punishment that the cops do to each other. It's insane. You know, any issue that I've ever had with a cop, if they haven't done something right as far as following procedure the right way, or they've been wrong about a procedure, I never tell any. This is also part of. This is also an in-character thing with Cornwood. Cornwood is very loyal, like to a T, you know, or to even to like his detriment, he's loyal, right?
Still follow,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. So, but he won't ever throw any, like Cornwood doesn't like throwing people under the bus. Like it's not a thing. Like, because we had an issue where I actually had somebody that caught who's like basically doing serial assaults and murder, and I did a show up instead of a lineup, and I had multiple lawyers tell me that that's fine. Like a lineup gives you a stronger case, but if you had witnesses, you had victims, all these people say that's the guy, then that's the guy. So it still would hold up. But I had another officer who's a senior officer told Cornwood otherwise, that it doesn't count. You can't do that. And I asked other officers about it, but Cornwood would never, like, I would never throw somebody under the bus. I honestly, like, that's like all that. Hey, that's a little self-inserty, I guess, because I probably wouldn't do that in real life unless it was really bad. But also Cornwood, to a fault, is like that. And he wouldn't want to throw anybody under the bus, because if they have a problem with it, or if he has a problem with it, he'll just go handle it man to man with somebody. And that's what he did. So he figured it out, asked other people if that's the case, and then went and talked to them 1v1. And that's it. I'm not gonna go tell command and go get them striked and get them suspended and all that, because it's bullshit to me, right? Now some people might play characters they play like snitch RP, right? And that's what it is. Like, for example, like Duncan doing that at the beginning was funny as shit, right? Like, dude, Nesk, the way Nesk plays Duncan it's like the ultimate like Dwight Schrute type of character, and it's so damn funny, dude.
For
It is
content,
so
who
funny.
is Duncan? I'm not a.
Duncan
he-
Fenwell. He looks like the Lorax. He's got a big
I want
blonde
some Dunkin'
mustache
Donuts
clip
right
there.
now.
I fucking love Duncan. So I like him in character. Like Nesk plays that character so fucking well, where
Yeah.
he starts talking to you and you just like listen, and then it just like
You start
fades
taking
into
damage.
you say
Snitch cop. Oh, okay.
I mean, I could whatever you guys have done, I can add my perspective as like somebody in high command.
Yeah,
That
because
perspective.
Sab's about. I feel like someone in my chat's like, "Yo, Sab fuming right now." So I'm curious, because aren't you the
I
one
don't
who
think
actually?
I'm fuming.
Well, no,
Oh,
that's the
he's
thing,
fuming,
he's
guys.
not.
Guys, this
I'm
is he had to
not-
turn off cam. For those who are new to the streams, he turned off
I
cam
wish my
because
cam was on. Okay,
he's
My hair
shaking
is,
right
like,
now.
Here's the thing, okay? See, I totally get your perspective, Esfand, what you're talking about. And I've lived it. I've been through it. You know, I've been up and down. I've been the lowest rank you can be as an officer in the PD, and the highest rank you could be as an officer. I've done it all, right? For me, there needs to be structure. There needs to be standard. Because if you
Yeah,
don't
there
have
is.
that, the PD turns into another gang. And that's what happened. The PD turned into another gang, and it became different colors, different departments, different gangs. And nobody would hold each other accountable. And the civilian population lost faith in the PD because they didn't care about holding the cops accountable for the shit they did on the streets. So they saw it just another, a gang member come from another gang member. And as a result, they lost faith in the PD and didn't want to work with us, and then burned that bridge, and it turned into what? Crims versus cops. That's what the server turned into. Either you're a crim or a cop. No in between. Because being in between meant nothing, and you had nobody who could protect you.
Yeah, it's dumb.
That-
It is dumb. It is dumb if that's the case.
That to me
100%.
was one of the most annoying parts of like me when I was like role playing like Jerry Sweets. Like when I started becoming like when I managed to make it to lieutenant, I was like in 3.0, there was so much damage done to the PD in terms of corruption, where nobody trusted basically any fucking cop whatsoever. They had no reason. It had been absolutely destroyed. So in 4.0, we've been given the same thing of like, okay, let's take that, learn from it, make sure cops are being held accountable. And they are being held accountable. But people are just like, holy shit, they're actually firing cops, but almost like it's a bad thing. And it's seen as a bad thing from the people who support that cop, OOC.
Right.
Yeah.
And then two things, they can come back. Once you get fired, it doesn't mean that it's over. There's a road for redemption if you come back to join the PD again, right? I'm all for that.
Well-
And also, you can make a new character and join the PD. So there's 2 options for you. And on top of it, if people are getting fired and if people are role playing, I'm gonna boost their prior too as well and give them the opportunity to also role play, on their character and maybe potentially, become a crim or maybe have or join a different group and role play on the server.
Yeah.
So we are pushing people out there and we're pushing role play. And I get it. It sucks getting fired and it sucks having your character get removed from the PD, but that has to be normalized in a way to where it's okay because you can come back.
Well, so I'll tell you guys, because like almost nobody knows this, but like when Johnson got fired, again, Cornwood being loyal to a fault, right? I went and I in character, I talked to Johnson for like 2 hours. I drove him around and he's telling me the whole story of what happened. And there's a 911 call about, or I think it was a 311 regardless. There's a call about, oh, this guy, this cop is like, or this former cop is like moping around. He's drunk out on the bridge in Legion Square. I went and I talked to him. It was me and Trig, right? So me and Nikes go talk to him for a little bit. And then later on, he ends up getting hit on that pit by Denzel, right? And he's like, oh, nobody was there for me. It's like Johnson doesn't even exist no more, this and that. And I talked to him for like 2 hours in character about like, here's what you need to do, right? And I messaged him out of character too. And I was like, that wasn't just like bullshit, right? Like, I'm like, this is if you want to be a cop, this is what you need to do. Now he might have changed his mind or whatever, but like with Gregory Johnson, if he wants to be a cop, then these are the things he needs to do. He needs to go apologize. He needs to admit that he was wrong in what he did and take accountability, right?
It's true that happened, by the way.
Accountability, but like it's and I still haven't had a chance to go watch like what actually happened, right? But I just heard his side of the story, and just knowing this is how High Command feels about this, right? This is how High Command feels about this. This is how they approach things. And hearing the way you're explaining it to me as a friend, right, in a friendly environment, I can only imagine how you explained it to High Command, right? But even if you explained it to me this exact way to them, I 1,000% see why you would have gotten in serious trouble, right? And then on top of that, it's like it continued after. It wasn't about the altercation as to why I got fired. It was about how it was handled afterwards. You need to go apologize, work a civ job, make content out of this situation, right? He got his prio raised. That's the best thing that could possibly, like,
big
from
W.
a streamer. Let's talk about your stream, right? Let's do this. Let's talk about your stream for a second. You have the best possible thing that could have ever happened for your stream to happen. Now you might have a bunch of crazy people in your chat, right? Who are the people rioters and all this, those kinds of people, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, like, you have now a spotlight shown on your stream. You have an opportunity to make good RP out of this, and you have several avenues. The hardest avenue is for you to be straight-laced, go work a civ job, apologize, and slowly work your way at getting a chance to coming back into the PD in some form or fashion. The medium route is to apologize, right, and understand why what happened was wrong, and then make a new character, right, and apply for the PD on the new character. And then the easiest route is if you take Johnson and you turn him into a crim, right? And then he goes and joins Mr. K and all that. That's the easy route. So you have to choose which route do you want and what's going to make you feel the most fulfilled for the type of content that you want to do and the type of character that you want Gregory Johnson to be, and choose. Go from there. That's and again, like, you had the best possible thing in the world happen for your stream because you got your prio boosted. You got a massive spotlight shown on your stream by some of the biggest streamers on the server, so make something good out of it. That's what my opinion was. And he can just decide, right? You can choose from that point, like, what you want to do. You want to be Gregory Johnson? Do you want to make a new character? So that's up to him at that point.
Yeah,
But that was like my whole point with this whole situation is you have to find ways to take bad situations and RP them in a way to make them into good situations. However, there's certain things, right? Like I talked to Dean. He is scared to play Denzel off stream, and I'm literally begging him in DMs. I'm like, bro, please, for the love of God, play Denzel as a civ for at least one day while you're suspended. It would be the most, I'm telling you, it could be one of the most fun to watch storylines on the server for at least a little bit.
Yeah, and dude,
But
and
he is
It would be
OOC
crazy
scared that
high
somebody's gonna
viewers,
plant
crazy
stuff on
high juice. Like I would want to fucking watch that stream after.
I think
after
a
what
lot of
happened.
cops are afraid to RP their cops off duty just because they're like, I'm gonna get fucking kidnapped and killed. I RP
But-
McNulty off duty all the time, and it's fun as
I hope
hell.
I get permit.
What the
Not
fuck?
by choice.
Yeah.
It's not, Slacks gets put in a position where he gets perma and it's not his choice. but like that's the thing is like if Denzel Shiesty is off duty and he is like a rough around the edges cop, right? And he banters with a lot of crims and he gets into words with a lot of people. I guarantee you he's gonna get stabbed, he's gonna get kidnapped, he's gonna get robbed.
Oh, people are
He's
gonna be
having
licking their lips when they see him.
everything
yeah.
happen to him,
Yeah.
and it'll be amazing to watch because then the PD has to go save him. I'm like, dude, this will be sick. Like, please, just please play a civ. If that happens, it's good.
Yeah, not
It's
to say that
exciting
it'd
for
be
the
not to
viewers.
say that it'd be scripted, but like you can see
just
the
kinda
vision
know what's
of
gonna
like
happen.
yeah, you can see several, at least it's not a script, you could probably see several different paths lined
Yeah.
up if you were to do that for a day, and you're like, damn, all of those paths are good content.
Yeah. So like you can make something out of it, and then it's like, you know, it's good. It's like a very like easy to see potential story arc. But I also understand him feeling in a like, because sometimes when you don't really know everybody out of character and you don't really know how people operate in general, like yes, there needs to be repercussions. Yes, there needs to be consequences. But it's like nobody's gonna. I hope to God this is true, right? And I do truly believe this right now. Nobody's gonna want to leave anybody out to dry. You know, even in like the Johnson situation, like getting his prio boosted, that's huge, honestly, right? Because it's like he can't get on the server because he doesn't have cop queue anymore. Sure, but he got his prio boosted, so now he can.
Yeah, that's literally what I'm
Yeah.
trying to push for, right?
Yeah.
Like I want people to role play. I don't want you to feel like, okay, I'm done. I can't queue up to the server anymore. My character's arc is over. No, it's just beginning now, and there's a new chapter.
I think that's the way. Like, it sucks. Obviously, a lot of us spend a lot of time in RP, and the fact that cops actually can now have those like a bigger consequence and have to role play around it is huge, because that happens when the criminals get that like big like fuck you raid done on them, and it, you know, fucking foundation wipes them. Some of the best content is in that rebuilding. I think like if you just win all the time. I said, are you sniping chat?
I'm telling you, some of these people are so dumb. I swear.
Listen, I swear, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll say it after this, but let me finish the point first, which is like that foundation wipe kind of stuff leads to some of the best content and some of the best. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but after Jean-Paul robbed our whole fucking crew, the next day, fucking Lysium's character Benji, through a weird chain of events, catches Jean-Paul and steals back like the most important thing that he stole from us. And it was like, oh shit, right?
Yeah.
Like those, and I think what people need to realize, and actually a lot of role players should know this, and I actually hope people who role play on NoPixel know that they can message people out of character and talk about stuff. We are all creators. We're not trying to fuck each other over. We're actually trying to create good content. So a lot of people don't know this, but like XQC, literally, it was an OOC decision to help probably the streamers. He left shit for us so that we could rebuild, so that he wouldn't fuck us over out of content, right?
Dude. Yeah.
Like he made that call because he knows Lysium, Maximus, me, and Ray C, and was like, I'm not going to completely fuck these guys over. I'm going to leave them some stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, to your point, sorry, I thought you were.
Or he just, you know, it was scuff. I don't know. But like,
Well, it's that same thing of like, you want to be caught. There's something fun about being caught, making those fucking mistakes. So why not leave a breadcrumb? Why not be like, oh, it makes no sense. Well, you said it like, why? It makes no sense for me to carry the super mega fucking important thing on me, but I'm going to do it anyway because it might create fun roleplay. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's I'm gonna say this about XQC. I get like annoyed sometimes because XQC breathes and he has chat hoppers. Understand what I'm saying? Don't get all butt hurt yet.
Uh-oh.
Chatters.
Hold on.
But he has
Chat, everyone
everyone.
Emote
pause.
only mode real quick,
let's
bro.
see. I'm gonna run an experiment. Everyone in the chat, pause, champs. Let's wait. Pause. Hold on.
This guy has hate watchers. I'm telling you, this guy has hate watchers that watch his stream and then they hop into another person's chat while he's doing nothing wrong at all. And they go and it's like first time chat. Oh, I hate this guy. I'm like, bro, I know what you're doing here. You know what I mean? It's like they try and be inflammatory and they try and rile up the chat. And then you have people in your chat being like, oh, XQZ's chat is the worst. Look at all those hoppers that came in here, whatever. It's like, dude, no, half these people that are coming over are not coming over to be obnoxious. It's fine to go and watch. Like I encourage that. Go watch the other POVs if you want to, and just be polite and proper, right? You don't need to be rude to people. You don't need to be mad at people. Just be very polite and be very proper and be nice. Like it's cool. Like that's what it's all about. Watch the other POVs.
I think most people are there because they're like, what the fuck is going on the other side, right? They would try to figure that shit out. But most humans will look at the fucking negative. So if you see, let's say 100 messages saying, oh, what's with this choice? Why is this happening? And there's one message that says, fuck you, Esfand, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Yeah. You're going to look at that message, one right there, and be like, shut the fuck up, bitch.
True.
Like, you're going to see that one message, and you're going to be like, okay, yeah, cool. Hoppers, dude, am I right? Like, that's what's going to happen.
Yes, exactly. And I'm saying the opposite thing, where I'm like, the hoppers aren't bad, right? But like, you have people like, they hate watch, and then they hop, and they try and start, like, a riot against the streamer that the streamer they're now currently watching interacts with. I've noticed that. I guarantee you guys, I've seen this. This happens to all the other cops with me. I'm telling you, I have people that are banned in my chat that go into SSaab's chat all the time. I've seen them in Custard's chat. They go and they're banned in my chat for being morons. And they're like, oh man, this guy always does this. This guy has no integrity, takes no accountability for anything. Because and I know what happens with XCC too. When say what you want about XCC in 3.0, the truth is XCC has been very good.
Way better
this time around. Like and not just even better, but like it's because he understands like the content in general, and he's like, okay, you have to give people an out, and like giving like he does what he wants to do, sure, but he does it in a way that like there's an out. One of the best storylines that happened so far was him planting the gun on Murphy Braun. It was really good. It
amazing
kind of sucks that it like has been drawn out the way it has, but like there's a lot of cool stuff that he's done, and people just have this like preconceived notion about them, or they see one clip or one thing that they do, and then they try and project that across every single action, right? Because something might have happened at some point that, you know, maybe they screwed up, or maybe it was taken out of context or whatever, right? It happens with me on Cornwood all the time, and I know it happens with XCC too. So it's just dumb, right? It's just like paying these people too much mind is like kind of insane. Like it's crazy that they exist, right? But
it's also
it's just one of those things that people, I've noticed chatters do that, and they'll be like, oh, that person has a lot of these weird hot. It's like, no, that's not really true. It's just a smaller portion of them that come over and be obnoxious.
Yeah, it's like the worst thing that you see from I think viewers and role players should know this. It's like the worst things that you see some role player doing, or some character doing, or whatever bad thing you think happened is like, hey, you're literally watching like 1% of this person's stuff that they do. Okay, you're seeing a small little snippet, you see a small little clip, like you don't know whatever else is going on with it. And yeah, I think people just need to be more chill with that. We've been going, actually, I've kept you guys ahead of time, so longer than time. I want you guys to get back to the good role play. By the way, this has been by far, I think it's probably our best episode yet. This has been amazing. We've gotten to some good stuff. So now I'm going to ask, we have 3 cop mains, and I want you guys to give me, this is your call for all the especially the main criminal role players. It's like, what are your guys' like pet peeves that crims do that you just wish they would stop doing? And or what's the thing that you wish they did more of? Like, and that you think would like, basically, what are the things that you want them to stop doing because you think it'd make better content for everyone? Or what is the thing that you wish they did more of because it would make better content for everyone?
I wish they got shot more. That'd be better.
This is OCS fan.
Good que- this is a
Snap
really
out of
good
it, man.
question.
You're not going one.
This is a good question.
Let me kick you on the server real quick.
I think for me, it's when a criminal fucks up, right? Gets fucking caught, catches a fucking felony, right? Have the actual capacity to realize you made those fucking choices. We're the ones just charging you and holding you accountable. But instead, they'll blame the fucking cops, leave, and then the cop that whatever fucking did it to them, they'll go hunt their fucking ass and put a bullet in their fucking head. Instead of looking at themselves and being like, oh, wait a minute, I made those fucking choices. I'm the one that kidnapped that doctor, stabbed him. And instead of just being like, you know what, I'm going to go shoot this cop for holding me accountable for my actions. That's my biggest pet peeve when it comes to criminals' actions.
Yeah. I think in general, like I think acting in, man, is there something? It's not even something tangible. I just think at the end of the day, if people are acting in good faith, then if people are acting in good faith, then it's all good, right? Like, you know what happens sometimes that I've noticed is like, okay, we're chasing a crim and they have a head pop, right? This is just an example. We're chasing a crim and they have a head pop. And we all stop. I'm like, okay, let's wait. Okay, is everybody ready?
I know where
okay.
you're going. I know
Yeah,
where you're going with this.
If it happens to us, hey, I'm out of here.
Bye,
I'll see you
Felicia.
later. Yeah.
Bye, Felicia.
Hey,
Goodbye.
hey, sorry, bro.
And then
Look,
you'll see
hey,
a
RP it
twat
out.
being like,
RP
hell
it out.
comes ease.
Yeah. RP it out. Look, dude, you gotta be shitting me, dude.
It is
Like
true.
stuff like that.
We're on a chase, a head pop, and it's, oh man, I remember this from 3.0. It was the classic, like, oh, our guys head pop, oh, our cars, like, oh, there's something weird going on, and like everyone kind of like stops. It's like, and then I even remember chases where we would be driving, Air One's head popped, fucking helicopter crashes, and we're like, yo, like, get fucked, pussies. Like,
Air One head pop.
when an
That's
Air One
terrible.
head pops, oh my God, it's so funny. And we love that shit. Oh, that is my,
Yo, VCB.
yeah, easy clap, VCB. Yo, we got shooters, bruh. Like,
Oh
God.
no.
No, I
Dude,
think-
well, you know who's a good example? Like Whippy, for example, is like a good example of somebody that is like he never. I think on Dundee, I know we talked about him already, but like on Dundee, like he can get under people's skin just because like he plays this like loud, boisterous sort of character, right? But if you know him and you like you know how he operates, like he always acts in good faith. You know what I mean?
It puts RP forward.
RP, yes, 1,000%. That's
Yeah.
why he's so good. But like that's just like just to give like a good example of somebody who I believe does that. Like as far as like always acting in good faith, you know. Yeah, that's my thing, but it's not really tangible. Saab, what is it for you?
Oh boy, we could be here for an hour. If we talk about things we want to talk about.
Let's pick one.
Sab finally unleashed.
For me, give and take. That's it. When it comes to any crime scenes, investigations, role play, you know, paper trail, crumbs, give and take. Because I don't want to make it about the chase being the only way I can catch you, right? There should be other steps I can take afterwards if you get away, right? It's a game of cat and mouse we can play, and sometimes you get away and sometimes I catch you. And it's just what has come down to is we have to be okay with that give and take. Sometimes I might take the L and sometimes you might take the L. And I just want people to be okay with that. But I feel like sometimes people just don't see that. And it's all about their perspective and what their outcome that benefits for them. And they act very selfish in a way to where only care about their outcome and not everybody else involved.
Yeah, I think I had a viewpoint. This is like a broader viewpoint on roleplay in general, but it's like I think sometimes like you just got to know like when you can not main character syndrome and like know how to side character. And it's like when I'm leading like the fucking intern, like my fucking army of interns, and they're all listening to Mickey's fucking commands. It's like, okay, I have main character vibes right there. If I'm gonna go and help Rami as a lawyer, it's like, okay, that's Rami's law firm. I'm a side character for him, and I want to like yes man him and basically be like an accessory to the scene. I think people need to like think about like certain situations and stuff and like where it's like that character's time to shine. I think it's like I think my one thing is I would love if criminals gave cops their moment more. And here's why. This is something I've always thought of. This goes back to in 3.0. when we did the whole fucking cocaine arc, I genuinely wanted a scene, and it never happened, but I wanted a scene where I was actually hoping to be you, Sab, because I know you were investigating. I wanted you to bust us, and I wanted that to be your scene. Like, you fucking roll up on these guys in the manor. We've got fucking coke, and you end up gunning us down. It's like, you fucking caught these guys, right? Like, I think, and I think it's about like the dialogue that happens when you finally arrest that criminal, when that happens. And then I want that criminal to be fucking yelling at the cop, you motherfucker, you piece of shit cop, but like doing it in a way, not like the OOC way, but like, when it's like in character versus,
man.
Create that scene for
I
the
think
cops.
most times it is in character.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
I wish there's more shootouts with people yelling and taking cover. Say, hey, take cover, hey, shots!
Yeah.
I wish people roleplay shootouts. I really wish, but that's not.
I'm healing.
Yeah, I will tell you right now,
man.
I won't be able to fucking do that. When it comes to shootouts, it's just pure mechanics. I get like Rainbow Six Siege, hyper focused. Like, I'm here to clap. Like, I'm not here to communicate. I'm here to clap.
But at least like afterwards, I wish like Crims, when they take the L, like maybe like change, like it's like, okay, fuck, I got caught on this job, and it's like maybe be like, wait, how can I now make this scene really cool for the cops? Like, what can my character do instead of like clamping up and just being like, oh, shit chat, like, I want like more Crims to be like, hey, like, let me now make a cool scene for the cops.
Yeah, try and make it as immersive as possible for everybody in the area. There's civilians. Get out of here! Like, you guys can't be here. This is dangerous. This is a crime scene. Like, there's a shootout happening. Like, you guys need to leave. Like, you guys are in danger.
Scenes,
And you got James Randall carrying somebody.
I'm police tape, man. I want to be able to just police tape the whole entire place.
There are gunshots, guys. What's going on over here?
No, shots fired in the area. What the fuck's going on, right? Like,
Dude, it's like clip. It's that clip from whenever I first started in 3.0. Whenever somebody told me to shoot some guy that ran onto a scene, I was like, "You want me to shoot him now?" And they're like, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay." And I had an M16. I gunned this civilian down from like 50 yards away, and everybody lost it.
And by the way, I want to say something because people might chat like, by the way, like, I'm not great at that. Like, I'm not some fucking, like, I fuck up all the time. There's been times where I get fucking caught and I'm like fucking pissed. And then, I'm like, I'm just quiet. And I'm like, oh, see, like, I'm pissed. I feel like
you need a second to reset. That's real.
Yeah, you need a second, and you know what? It's like, hey, we can get better. Even in 4.0, I've had situations where I'll look back, I'm like, damn, like, I probably wasn't good to have Mickey do that. Or like, oh, like, that doesn't make sense. Like, it's just like we just get better about it. Like, I think 4.0 is all about improving. I'm like, man, I hope that when I have fucking character get caught, I can create cool role play then for the cops after they catch. And I think it's like, I think that is the biggest, I don't know, biggest takeaway is just like, we're just trying to, everyone's trying to improve. We're all trying to make content. Don't fucking be salty about it.
Mm-hmm.
Take the L.
Yeah.
Enjoy the W's. It's like I've got a mentality where it's like I just role play McNulty as like one little goofy guy, locks it in. But when I see someone doing fucking well, you hype that shit up. You give them their fucking moment. You scream down the fucking radio like
their flowers, yeah.
Yeah, give like, fuck yeah, we got this motherfucker. Good shit. Lock it the fuck in, boys. We got him.
Yeah.
Like, you hype that shit up. And when you take the L, it's like, okay, you know what? We tried our best. We'll move on to the next one. We'll catch them next time.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mentioned Space Boy, and somebody in chat is literally, was like, because literally right now, Space Boy has 7 people crammed inside a van.
Wait, what? I gotta see this.
And I mentioned James Randall.
He does. And he's in the run over. Oh my god. What am I watching right now?
What? He's just a silly guy.
He's just a silly guy, dude.
He's just a silly guy. Wow.
Guys, I've kept you longer than I told you would. I mean, honestly, we could talk about this a bunch, but I just want to say,
100%.
I mean, Sab's come on these, but Custard, Esfand's your first time coming on. We're gonna be hosting these once a week, actually, every week on Wednesdays. I'll hit you guys up, and if you guys ever want to come back on one, you can hit me up. But I'll definitely be inviting you guys back on. We cover these. We do sort of loose topics, and we end up going all over the place, and that's what I kind of love about it. Just like roleplay, you never know where the podcast is gonna go.
No, it was good, dude. I had a lot of fun. It was great.
I always appreciate it.
Shout out your channels real quick. To the viewers, where can they find you? Custard, you're first.
Oh, right, yeah. LT_custard. You know, cop main,
Oh,
still a little goofy guy with a bad hairline.
is it okay? So I keep calling you Lieutenant Custard. Is it LT or Lieutenant Custard?
People just call me Custard. It's
Okay.
or LT, whatever the fuck it is. I don't. It's based a long time ago when I was super young, making my Xbox Live account like 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
Based off the Cluedo name, General Mustard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was a Rainbow Six Siege streamer for the longest fucking time. Got my charm in the
nice.
game, and then pretty much got onto NoPixel because, and I'll happily admit it, I was a juicer. I still am a fucking juicer. I watched XQC. I'm a juicer. I've watched XQC for a long fucking time. I watched.
Now you get to roast him.
Yeah, I watched him on NoPixel, and I was like, oh, RP actually looks pretty fun. I applied, and I have never been so fucking addicted to something for the longest fucking time, and I fucking love RP, man. And the only reason I'm here is because pretty much I was like, hey, he looks like he's having fun, so I should try it.
Okay, that's awesome. Esfand?
My name is Esfand. Hi. My stream is Esfand TV, and I play Cornwood, and I do a lot of things, but right now I'm addicted to RP, so I only do RP.
Yeah, we kind of all
Are you
are.
gonna
It's
remove?
bad.
Are you gonna remove TV in your name?
You know, I wanted to, and so Twitch told me I could, but I didn't because I have Esfand TV on everything. So like
that's gonna be
YouTube,
expensive.
Be a massive
rebrand.
fucking
Oh,
headache.
dude,
yeah.
bro, I had to rebrand from Blau's Choice to Blau. Not had to, but it was basically like I just never wanted the smoke from the Nintendo attorneys.
Yeah.
And
Smart.
I've been able to get Blau on a few, but yeah, like I'm still Blau's Choice on a bunch because it's like that was a really unique name, and now like getting Blau, it means blue in German, so like, fuck, it's
okay.
actually hard.
Yeah. It's cool though, you know, meaning blue in German. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
But, like,
probably.
yeah.
I think yours is close enough though, where I'm like, you probably just keep Esfand TV.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and it's not confusing, like, you know, Twitter, whatever it is. Like, I think it's good. So,
All right, Sab,
Cool.
finally you.
SSaab, Twitch.tv SSaab. You can find me there. I love roleplay. Smile.
What about you? Have you ever tried to get Sab with just one S, or do you like it with the two S's?
I have tried, but like I have to redo everything you're talking about, basically.
Yeah,
it's
same
like
thing.
as
Yeah,
me. Yeah.
gotcha.
And like we can get it on Twitch probably, but YouTube is even harder, and Twitter is even harder than that, and Instagram's even harder than that. So it's like,
Dude,
it's just, you know,
Instagram is the nightmare one. Instagram and Twitter are the two nightmare ones.
Someone had my Instagram handle LT_custard, and I DM'd them, and I was like, hey, any chance you want to give me that? And they were like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Just straight up give it. I was so fucking lucky. I thought he'd be like, yeah, for like $200 or something, sure. But no, he just straight up was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Here's the account.
All right,
What
well,
a nice guy.
yeah, it's sick actually.
to the three of you, to everyone in chat, this has been Roleplay Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at Roleplay Podcast. And one of the exciting things is Roleplay Podcast is actually on all of your favorite podcasting networks. We are actually a legitimate podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, like all that bullshit. We're actually a real podcast. So mostly it's on YouTube, though, is like our biggest section where we do most of our announcements. But, you know, if you're, I don't know, one of the podcast people, you can listen to it anywhere. Yeah, that's all. Guys, thank you so much for coming in. I'll see you guys in the city.
Yeah, see you in the city.
Thank
All right,
you.
Have a good day. Have a good night. Good night.
Peace, guys.
Jeez.